Welcome, everyone, to today's episode 3 of Beyond the Mountains of Madness. I am Lindy, Laugh of Lindy, your keeper of arcane lore knowledge and a little bit of terror today. But before I get on with the rest of the spiel and the rest of the announcements, let's go around to our fantastic casting crew and say who we are, who we'll be playing. Unfortunately, we do not have the lovely Renee with us today, as she is feeling a little under the weather, so give her actual good and positive vibes, because she's not having to deal with all the horrors of today, and she needs to get better so she can endure them. So we're going to skip where she would normally be, and pop on down to Crumpler64. Who are you? Who are you playing?
I'm doing great. I am fresh from the lands of San Antonio, Texas, back south. I am playing the artist, also known as Baxter Wiggins, as he is basically going slowly down the levels of mental torment, as he is a bit more than he can chew in this type of adventure. And he is looking for one of his captors in the process, which I humbly did my best to draw. And as I said before, this is why I design logos, not people.
Yes. You know, it happens sometimes. It's cartoons. They're important for society.
Yes.
And
thank you.
They are. I mean, what would the newspaper? What would your Sunday morning be without the funnies? But
exactly, that's what
morale and optimistic artist. We've got Hunter Morel, Immersion. Who are you, and who will you be playing?
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back. Welcome back. Watching another show here. I'm Immersion, aka Jim Marino, playing Hunter Morel, the team's outdoorsman, survivalist, engineer, structural engineer, and I'm just glad that we made it to episode 3.
You know, you're doing good. That's 3 episodes down. Only 13
call
more
that
to go.
a win. Call that a win.
For sure. And speaking of win, we've got Little Cup of Joe, who has the best dice rolls in the nation, and all she ever does is win.
Yeah, that's not a lie at all. And by best, we mean worst. It's fine. I'm Jess, Little Cup of Joe. I'm playing Lena. She probably answers to both. Pick the one you like. Lena's daughter. She's an archaeologist. Fresh graduate from Miskatonic University. Really didn't anticipate encountering murder on this voyage. So she's frightened but determined, because she wants to beat that Acacia, whatever her name is, to Antarctica and be one of the first women there alongside her friend Lois.
Fantastic goals, yes. Get to Antarctica, where it's just ice and snow and nothing else at all whatsoever. Pro restarter. I think our good pilot has a date for today.
Yeah, date with a very kind, well-mannered, totally normal waitress, I guess, right? Maybe? Who knows? Yeah. Hey, I am probably starting. I'm going to play Hayden Stewart, ace pilot, and yeah, kind of fame hunter, I guess.
That is a good description. He definitely is eating up all of the social media attention that is going on with photographers, journalists, and who knows who else. And last but most certainly not least, one who might be able to keep some people's insanity together as this campaign progresses, a Hollowtail.
Hello, I'm Hollowtail. I'm going to be playing Sebastian Wintercroft, the very, very keen and eager psychologist and doctor for this expedition.
Excellent. He's just a totally normal doctor, which he is. When I say I'm a totally normal subject, you should probably question me. But he actually is just a nice doctor and psychiatrist. But before we begin today's show, I'm going to remind everybody that we are sponsored by Fantasy Grounds, which is our super snazzy virtual tabletop of choice. All of the have handouts now. So when we get handouts, you'll see them pop up in there, and I can show everybody. And you too can do the same with Fantasy Grounds. Go to fantasygrounds.com and try it for free. You can also get, for your in-person games, miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk. They have a bunch of D&D, Warhammer, 40k minis for 20% off. And last but most certainly not least, we have tabletop loot. They provide fantastic dice, which we give away whenever we hit 20 retweets. Or it says 30 right now, but it's 20. Apparently, hit the wrong reset button. I can fix that. So, when we hit 20 retweets, we give away a set of tabletop loot dice, and they're awesome. All of mine roll really well, so maybe they're just lucky. Don't let certain people handle your dice, though, or they'll be unlucky. Not at all. But last but not least, I will remind you, how do we get interact with today's game? We hit 20 retweets, of course, giveaway, but also you can donate to affect the game. You can give our lovely players nat 1s, nat 20s, wild magic surges, which get really interesting in Cthulhu, and this month's special table of pets. But now that that's all been said and done, let us begin back in September 1933 in the wonderful, hustling, bustling city of New York, where we last left our investigators kind of planning out what they were going to do. The next morning arises, and you all wake up in your hotel room. Lena, you wake up and you have the hotel room door joining you and Lois. Lois is a little freaked out about all the sabotage things that have been going on, so she has informed you that she's gonna take the day to go out to the new carpenter and personally oversee the construction of the new dog kennels.
Okay.
For the deer puppers. So, there's that as well. And everyone else, you wake up. What is your plans?
What are our plans?
So I believe the appointment I had set up, we had moved as there was another appointment that was moved forward. Was it the lunch with Rorik, was it?
Yeah, you have lunch with Nicholas Rorik. Anyone who wants to attend that is welcome at his hotel, at the Netherlands hotel. Also, you guys wanted to kind of re-interview some of the crew to evaluate their mental health and status, and then you had your butler basically plan out the day for dear Hayden Stewart and his lovely date. You guys wanted kind of like a fog screen to get your business done, and Hayden and Holly, we're going to provide that smoke screen for you by being as public and boisterous as possible. So Hayden is most likely going to pick her up as, not pick her up, ride in the car and pick up Holly as they have a date. Their date begins with lunchtime. In fact, they're going to have lunch at the Grand Central Oyster Bar. It's a very fancy establishment right underneath the subway. It's very public, but still. Hayden, you're probably just getting ready for that. What about the rest of you?
Starting off the morning, I would make sure that Moore and Starkweather are informed about everything that we have planned, what we're all going to do, and how we're going to do it, and just let them know, our course, our plan for the day. And if he's got anything to input, any other actions that we need to take, or any other information, where he can contact us.
He informs you that he's been really trying to push to get the leave date move up. He says that you guys are actually going to be able to leave tomorrow, so all of you should put your personal possessions and belongings that you want on the ship this evening. You guys have the day to yourselves to make sure you put yourself on the boat.
Tomorrow time?
Bright and early. Not too early, as they want a big, we're leaving for Antarctica, and they want the world to be awake for that. But
all right, I'll make sure I have everyone there, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I think Lena, once she noticed that like Lois is off doing her own thing, since they intended to have that attend with Sebastian the appointment, she'll probably go and locate him.
Okay. All right, you're able to find Sebastian probably getting breakfast in the room service. Just basically brought up like a small buffet table because you have the police officers on either side of the door because of the potential murders and kidnappings and stuff surrounding you guys. They're not letting the press on this floor, and food is being usually brought up.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, he will sort of gratefully accept the meal and will spot Lena and will kind of give her a polite nod. Good morning, Lena.
Good morning, Sebastian. Lois has already gone off to attend to some business. She's still a little bit shaken from all of this. Can't
That's
blame her,
understandable.
really.
Yes, there's
Yes,
quite a bit
I
going on.
think. Yes, I think she's going to be declining the appointment today, but I'm at your disposal if you need assistance.
I certainly will. I think that will be very pertinent to our success in the appointment at the very least. It would be good to have you there to observe and also to find anything out that you may also be able to get out of it. I will, of course, be helping run it, but any questions you have may be useful. If we step on toes slightly, it's fine, of course, as you are studying.
Certainly. I shall try to avoid doing that too much.
Don't
She's
try too
gathering
hard.
up a plate of some. She's gathering up a plate of some breakfast while they talk.
Yeah, he'll be doing the same and just getting it all ready. So I believe, was it first order of business was going for the lunch with Mr. Rorick? And then after that, we have our appointment in the afternoon to speak with our individual that is coming in, along with, of course, going through the papers.
Yes, I think that was the plan.
And where is Baxter? Has he shown up yet?
Not yet. It's like the part where you don't see is
Okay.
him like trying to find. He wants to give a good first impression, so he's still in his room, just like holding up shirts. What looks nice. It's, like he only has like two good shirts, but one is less stained than the other, so it's just like
Oh,
he's not used to. He's an artist
Baxter
that's
doing his best.
like confined in his own office, so like him being out in public is not always on a thought of his.
Sort of suspecting such a thing then. I think
Yeah.
Sebastian will just reply, I'm sure he'll be down eventually.
Yes, I hope so. It'd be a shame if we were late.
Have you spotted Mr. Hunter?
No, I haven't. I imagine he's taking care of business. He seems to be rather on top of things most of the time.
More than likely. Still, I believe he was to come with us today, keep us all together after all, and offer protection if we so need it. There is a lot of strangeness going
Yes.
on. It would put my mind at ease at the very least.
Agreed. I don't know that any of this really sits well with me, but I think I'm just gonna put it in a little bit of a box and set it aside and deal with it later.
That's one approach, he says, and kind of smiles a little bit at you before he gets to eating and waiting for the others.
She does likewise and grabs herself a coffee and starts drinking all of it.
Excellent. So, not before too much longer, you guys are able to all reconvene down, in the hallway of your areas. Meeting in the lobby has been a bit more public, and you guys have been trying to avoid that as much as possible. So, you guys meet up, and Baxter has gotten himself as fancy as he can for his meeting with Nicholas Rorick, which everyone is tagging along with. Except Hayden, you could probably even tag along for this meeting if you would like to as well, but you'd have to probably leave right afterwards to pick up Holly.
I don't think there's anything else that might need doing in the interim.
If you'd like, because you're having your dates planning to run all day into the evening, you could probably just put your stuff on the boat this morning. Your personal possessions.
Yeah, I'll probably do that then. I'll probably go down to the boat and also want to see what's happening there, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Okay. So you get down to the boat. you see that they have hired a new captain for the vessel. Let me zoom out my thing. His name is Captain Vredenburg.
Ah, European name, I see.
Captain
Love it.
Vredenburg. It's kind of interesting because the first mate of the ship is Scottish, and Captain Vredenburg looks a little bit German.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'll go over to greet them, and I'll be like, "Hey, hello. Pleasure to meet you. I am Hayden Stewart, the pilot."
Pleasure to meet you. I am Captain Vredenburg. I've just been inspecting the vessel this morning. First mate Officer Turlo has been kind enough to be showing me around, and Officer Turlo kind of gives you a wave hello and comes over. You had, of course, had to pass by the guy with the guest list to get onto the boat, as they've upped security in the place. He sees you kind of have your suitcases with you. And he immediately is like, "Crew member, take Mr. Stewart's things down to the deck, below deck. We've set aside a bunch of rooms for all of you. There's room 12 is going to be for the ladies who will be joining us on this crew. Room 11 is for Starkweather Moore. I'm afraid 2 of you will have to bunk up to a room, as there's not a lot of passenger space aboard this vessel. But you being the first one here, you get first dibs on rooms 13 or 14.
Oh, I'll go for lucky 13.
All right, we'll have your possessions brought down in there immediately. Top or bottom bunk?
Oh, I was always a bit of a bottom bunk.
All right, and so they will bring your possessions down and put it in the trunk next to the bottom bunk bed for you.
Making the note.
Thank you. What?
It just hung there. It just hung there, and then
I just couldn't hold off any longer. I'm sorry.
That was a very specific pause.
it was.
I know what you mean. I'm innocent.
Excellent. And so Captain Vredenburg is, I hear you're, he's not Scottish. Arg. And he's not a pirate either. Captain Vredenburg.
No.
So, I've heard you was going to be as a pilot on this expedition.
Yes, I am. Ace pilot. You've probably heard of me. Probably have a few of my books. Yeah, would you like a headshot? Actually, oh, it's in my suitcase. I'll get it to you later.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of time once we are sailing on the sea all the way down to Antarctica. It's going to take a few weeks to get down there, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to catch up. I've been interested in flying, so the sea holds my heart. But perhaps I could exchange lessons. Once,
well, yes, of course.
Antarctica business is done.
Oh, yeah, as well. I'm always looking to learn a few trade.
Yeah,
It's a joke that I won't touch, but I'm going to move on from it.
The European papers. And a few races.
Oh, well, yes, I have quite a few, actually. I actually wanted to speak to you. I was speaking with some of the people on the other dock. I had some trouble with their communications. The batteries exploding or something like that.
Interesting.
And I want to look into that, just in case.
Thank you. I will definitely have Officer Turlo investigate those as once. I am still getting to know the ship. So Gabrielle is a fine vessel, but rather extensive, and I enjoy personally overseeing the endeavor before we leave dock.
It was a pleasure meeting you, and I give him like a firm handshake.
Yeah, he'll give you a good firm handshake back.
And
So- You heading off to your date?
Should I do this? Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. I'm gonna go over to the other dock
Okay.
and see if I can just.
Would Hayden do this more than would you do this?
I mean, he says the mutually exclusive. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the other dock, I think, and see if I can talk to that guy if he's still there. Maybe even see the woman. Maybe she's a fan. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, so you're going over to the Tallahassee on the other side of the pier. Acacia Lexington's boat. And you see that there's quite a bit of hustle and bustle as well there going on. And there's a guy with a list, kind of likewise, you to your ship, standing on the boat. Hello, sir. Can I help you?
To the same guy from last night.
No, it's a different guy.
Damn it, fuck. Okay. Hello, hey.
Yeah,
I'm
hey.
from
You too.
the
Yeah.
Yep.
The UK, or it's not that England. From there, you got the accent.
Yes, I am actually been living in New York for quite a bit now. You might have heard of me actually. The name's Hayden Stewart. If you're an aviator fan, of course.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, well, I'm sorry for you. If I was wondering if I could have a quick tete-a-tete with the proprietor of this vessel. We came here last night. And
Okay. Look, he
spoke-
kind of flips through.
we spoke to someone.
All right. So Miss Lexington currently isn't aboard, but I can have you meet I can ask the captain or the first mate. Ain't busy.
Yes, that would be wonderful, actually. I'm sorry, what was your
Alright.
name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Well, thank you, Jimmy. And I know how it feels like to have these monotonous jobs.
You know, it gives a good paycheck, and he'll kind of yell over, "Hey, Stu! Yeah, I know I need the first mate or the captain. Yeah, I know they're busy, but there's a guy here. He says he's like fancy or something. I don't know, British. Okay, we're gonna get one of them down here soon.
Nice. Would you like some tea?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I had coffee this morning. You know, big cup of good American coffee.
Nice. Yeah, I actually don't have any tea. I'm going to just drink some gin. For my feet.
And he's like, "Well, I won't tell anybody if you give me a sip too." Yes, it is currently the prohibition going on.
Oh shit! I keep forgetting. I just keep forgetting.
It ends on December.
Well, I mean,
13th.
that was an American thing, wasn't it?
You could
I'm sorry.
legitimately keep forgetting.
Yes, it
We're allowed to
would.
forget. We get a pass.
Yeah, you know what? You know what I'm gonna say? It's like, oh, I'm sorry. It says this came from England. You like your stuff from America, don't you?
Yeah, sure. Made in the USA.
Mm.
Kind of gives you like a look.
I'm
Then,
just joking, yeah. And I give him some.
All right then. British gin ain't bad. He hands it back. So, within a couple minutes, you see someone with rank come up, and he's like, "Yes, hello. Can I help you? I'm the first mate."
I kind of feel like he's looking down on me.
Yes, he is.
I thought
He's
so,
not
yeah.
much taller than you, but he's definitely looking
Mm,
down.
nice. I can feel it. Yes. Hello. I'm Hayden Stewart, ace
Mhm.
pilot. You probably heard of me.
I have actually.
Oh. Good. I'm sure you've heard all good things.
Sure.
Yes. Are you British by any chance? You have quite a good stiff upper lip.
Yes, indeed I am. Long
Oh.
live the Queen.
Yeah, Britannia. But I say to him, but in all seriousness, though, dear fellow, I
Yes,
came here last night with a bunch of
I'm
people.
always serious.
I can tell. It's quite it's a good look on you. The Queen would be proud. Bless
I
her
know.
corgis. But that was for you. Chat. Anyway, forgetting the bleed. I say to him, we had some people come over here last night as well with myself. Apparently, I heard some of your stuff has been tampered with.
I can neither confirm nor deny any rumors of tampering with the Tallahassee's equipment.
Hmm. Well, I've just come over here in a spot of, as you know, I am a sportsman, and I believe in good sportsmanship. We may be rivals and part of different funding expeditions, but we both want the best and everyone to come out on top. So I'm just over here to a good mission. Just to tell you that we've had the same thing, and that if you'd like to coordinate and cross-reference any stuff you may have come across as being faulty, and any stuff we might have come across being faulty, I'm more than willing to have that because, well, as I said, I'm a good sportsman, and we're going into dangerous territory.
Roll me a persuasion or charm.
Good, that's my worst skills.
Okay. Well, if they're both your worst skills, you know how many points in them. Charm is, I think, has a base of 15 rather than 10.
Yeah, base 15. I was like, I don't need charm. Really, I just didn't see the skill. I just didn't
Honestly,
see it.
thought you were like that had high charm this entire time. I gotta say.
I completely forgot to do that. I'm not used to the system. All right. No.
You never know. An 18. You could
I
spend
mean,
3 points of luck to make that a success if you'd like.
Yeah. So, do I get luck back? Has that gone forever? What is luck?
So typically it's difficult to get luck back, but especially in a faster paced campaign. But this campaign takes place over a couple of months, so there will be an opportunity to potentially regain some luck in the future.
Oh, then yes.
Okay.
I feel I'm more lucky than anything else. I've like 55 luck, so
Okay.
I'm pretty lucky.
All
And
right.
how many
so
is
you
that?
take-
3 points?
just need 3 points to make it a success,
Okay.
which would be 15.
I'd do it.
All right. So he goes, cigar, and he pulls out a cigar and he offers it to you.
Oh, thank you.
We shouldn't smoke near the ship, and he's going to stroll off towards the end of the dock a little bit.
Since he gave me the cigar, I'll give him a light.
Excellent. Well,
Oh, nice. Yes.
thank you. Good stuff. Now, we have had some slight issues with our electrical equipment and some of our food being. I have a feeling it was just someone bought the order. But some of our food
Fish oil, I'm guessing.
Yes, sardine oil rather than sardines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're currently scouring the rest of the ship for other evidence of tampering, but the main problem has been with our electronic devices and food stores.
Our huskies, our dogs. Apparently, the bridles for them were done oddly. Some of their connectors were rigged in such a way that would be oblivious to a glancing eye, something that would most likely fidget and anger a dog over a constant period of time, making them, well, unruly and useless.
Interesting. Well, we are picking up our sled dogs in Australia, so.
Oh, well, your plane. Have you got your plane on board with you?
Yes, there are a couple of vessels for the air rather than the sea on board. We are currently reviewing them as we speak. So
Yes.
Mechanics come in this morning.
My vessel, my plane, was actually sabotaged quite outwardly. Some of the screws were loose in the key bindings. The
Interesting.
winds are going to be very tumultuous, and that could have been devastating.
I'll have them keep a special eye out for that, and kind of taps the cigar a little bit. You're on the ship across the way. I'll send
Yes.
a runner over if we encounter any difficulties, if you will do the same.
Of course I would, of course. It's all these Americans and their pomp and posture. Why can't they just get along, seriously?
They overlook all the details. It's just generalizations everywhere.
They really do. I mean, I've heard of fast food, but fast work as well. We need detail oversight. At least
There's
4
a
managers to
cup
go
of
through.
tea. Ugh,
Don't even get me started on the sandwiches.
right, well. Lovely day to you. And he kind of turns around and he lives pretty much looking down his nose the whole time, but he did give you some information and confirm some things.
Okay,
And
nice.
strolls back onto his ship.
Making friends in Cthulhu land.
All right. So the rest of you have all gone over to see Mr. Nicholas Rorick this morning for brunch. Yes.
Indeed.
Definitely.
All right.
Yep.
So you all arrive
great.
at the Netherlands Hotel, Suite 410, and that is where you find Mr. Nicholas Rorick. The bellhop basically escorted you up to his room, seeing the invitation, and knock on the door, and you see a man answer. His face is a little swollen. He's got some stitches and definitely a black eye and some bruising. He says, "Oh, please, come in, come in."
Thank you.
He ushers you all in. Inside of his hotel room, it's actually a rather... This is a fancy hotel, so it's a rather elaborate and fancy affair. There is a full, couch. It's basically like a full sitting study, and that kind of thing. And he's got his easel set up with his paints all ready to go. Just waiting for, I guess, the proper subject to arrive. You see, he's kind of, it's a portrait type shindig. So, oh man, we get a pet gifted. Oh boy,
Brilliant.
gift a pet. Bob
Oh
the
boy.
Butler. Original name Bob Stoddart. Turned into a mind flayer 200 years ago? Okay. Yes, a relative ancestor of Lena. All right. Let's see who gets a butler on this voyage. I'm gonna roll.
Who
let's
is
see.
related to
1,
me?
2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna roll a d6. I guess a d5. Sorry, Lois. You don't get a butler. You probably wouldn't know they were related to you.
No, I don't think so.
Let's see. I'm not 1d100. So we'll just go around. Crumpler 1, Jim version 2, etc., etc. So looks like Mr. Leggins is getting the butler out of this.
Nice.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
That
So
poor butler.
Crumbles the crumpler. Yeah, great.
So, you guys are in the room. There's a few servants around, apparently, but hired staff and help for the dear Nicholas Rorick. And he's got like his easel ready out, but none of the paints are poured onto it yet. He was kind of waiting. There's a big kind of breakfast tea spread. There's like light beverages. There's tea, there's coffee, there's snack food. It's not like a full breakfast, but there's fresh fruit and little finger sandwiches and stuff. It's very social. He said, and you actually notice that there's a newspaper on the table as well, and it says, "International Diplomat Attacked! Artist and humanitarian waylaid by hoodlums." And it's like basically a front page article about his abduction the day before, as he was a nominee for the Nobel Prize in 1929. He's rather well known. And he says, "Oh, please, come in. I'm so glad you were able to meet. I was a bit distressed that we were not able to meet yesterday, but things happen, it would seem." And he kind of eases himself down into like a slightly overstuffed chair. Please, make yourselves comfortable.
I do so immediately.
Okay.
Lena does likewise.
I may or may not be in front of one of my idols.
Uh-huh.
Sebastian will again sort of politely gesture and give him a nod before going and taking a seat as well. Delightful
I'll
room you
go-
have.
Hunter's going to go stand by a fireplace or
Okay,
a window.
Yeah, there's definitely a fireplace in here. It's New York City.
Somewhere where I can keep eye on the doors that lead into the suite.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, this is like a multi-room suite, but from the fireplace, you could definitely keep an eye on the couple of doors that lead off from this living area to the front door for the room.
all right, since he asked
Lena wants to
Baxter
drown
for
as well.
this meeting, Hunter would have made sure, okay, Baxter, this is all you. Take it away.
Well, I must say it is an absolute honor to be in your presence, sir, and huge fan, I must say. So, they say I fan of your work, and as an artist myself, artist.
Yes,
Absolute
I
honor.
actually saw a bit of your work in the paper this morning. You see one of your comics.
Oh God, no! I mean,
I found the joke quite enjoyable. It's amusing. Now,
thank you.
I was been trying to get a meeting with Starkweather and Moore, but they're very busy people, and I of course heard that a fellow artist was going to be on the expedition, and I've met your father on a couple of occasions, and well, I figured you would be a good person to contact.
Wait, you met my father?
Yes, I've attended many events here in New York City, and of course around the world, but he was at a couple of them.
Really? I don't know. My father really traveled that much in his investigations.
Well, he was on some case, it would seem. I don't know what it was about specifically. I didn't want to pry, but it was an amiable
You probably
fellow.
wouldn't have answered even if you asked.
Very true, very true. But I was to deliver a package to you all, and unfortunately, it was absconded by those hoodlums who attacked me yesterday. So I'm terribly sorry to say that I don't have it with me to bequeath to you now, but
Hunter interrupts really quick. What's the package, sir?
it wasn't very large. It was more like just felt like a stack of papers inside of an envelope. It was sealed, and I didn't want to open it. It was I was delivering it from my good acquaintance from the Miskatonic University. What was his name? And you see, he's kind of like, he takes a big sip of his coffee to kind of like wake him up and reinvigorate him. He's one of the professors. He went to the first expedition to Antarctica. Well, not the first, but the Miskatonics one a couple of years back. Professor Dyer? Well, yes, William Dyer.
Do I know the name?
You've heard the name be mentioned during planning, but like it wasn't be anybody you know. Lena, however, you would know Professor William Dyer, as he was, he and Professor Percival Lake, both went out to Antarctica, came back without Percival Lake, as he was dead. But Professor Dyer, upon returning with all this stuff that they brought back, he resigned from his position immediately and has not really been seen or heard from much since. He said he had something, some urgent writing to give to the Starkweather and Moore expedition.
Urgent writing. Were you were in contact with Professor Dyer then? Because he went there with my professor, Professor Lake, who didn't come back, and well, it's been impossible to get hold of him ever since. And I really had quite a lot of questions for him.
Many people do. He tries to keep a low profile. He doesn't really get out much, but I received the letter and a package from him not too long back. He's been living in the well, I guess I really shouldn't say, but he hasn't been in the States for a while, past year or so. His letter urged me to go to New York and to beseech Warp expedition leaders to not go. I don't know why, specifically. He just said, give them the manuscript, it will explain everything. It's something about it being very dangerous, and... well, I figured it was pertinent to pass this information on.
Do you happen to know anything about the people that stole it from you?
I remember a few things. It all happened quite quickly, and I took a couple blows to the head, but there were 4 of them in total, and they were all German. And he kind of pulls up a couple of face sketches that he has of one of them being the one that the police officer, the detective yesterday had shown you. So they're all German.
Interesting.
Yes, they asked me some questions. I thought perhaps maybe you all would know more about it. They were asking me, they took the package and one of them drove off with it immediately, and then they kept asking me about a Pym's book.
Pym's book?
Yes, and they wanted Dyer's manuscript. They knew who the package was from, which surprised me greatly, as I hadn't really told anyone about it. And kind of takes another moment to steady himself. I didn't think that Pym's book really meant anything, but I slept on it overnight, and the only thing I could think of is I've seen about Miss Acacia Lexington's expedition as well in the papers, in addition to yours. I was going to try to persuade her not to go as well if Mr. Dyer felt as extremely passionate as he did about asking you all not to go. But Mr. Lexington's father, about I don't know, 5 years or so ago, he had bought a copy. We was at a big charity auction, an event, but he had bought one of Edgar Allan Poe's works. It was the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. It is 25 chapters, and I remember it because it was the main selling point of the charity auction. But you could pick up a copy of that book at any bookstore, but the difference between this version that was being put up for auction was this apparently had the last 4 chapters of the book that had never been published. Well, the night Mr. Lexington died, apparently suicide. It was rather tragic. He was a good man. His book went missing as well. So,
And it's rather
Seems very
suspicious.
strange.
I thought so indeed, especially as the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym refers to his journey to Antarctica as well.
Does it?
Great White North, yes.
It may be worth it to keep a copy of that book, or see if we can locate one before we leave.
Yes, it won't
Perhaps,
have
yes.
the missing chapters, which some people believe to be a fraud, but I figured if they were asking about it, might be pertinent.
There's a
Do you
whole
know
lot of
anyone
puzzle
else who
pieces here that
is-
just don't make sense.
Exactly. Do we know of anybody else who has read these chapters?
Oh, the fellow who was selling the book at auction. Oh, let me see. What was his name? It was, Edgar... Mr. Stanley Edgar.
Stanley Edgar.
Stanley Edgar.
Yes.
And by this point, Lena's gotten her notebook out and is jotting down notes.
I'm already on like page 4.
Yeah, Sebastian was going to. You could see sort of reach for his pocket slightly, and seeing that both of you are kind of scribbling furiously, he'll just retract his hand instead, and will just continue to speak rather smoothly as he will look at
Yes.
Mr. Warwick.
He's got like the
and,
writing down while looking and nodding, like hat.
Stanley Edgar. He'll have a think. Has he, with him attending sort of different auctions and charity balls and the like, would he have ever heard of this person or have seen them before?
Yeah, you would have heard of Mr. Stanley Edgar. He's a rare antique book collector. He's pretty much, if there's a book at an auction and it's a big auction, then he's gonna be there, especially if it's a rare title he doesn't already have to his collection. And when he shows up, people usually go, "We're not getting that book. He's gonna outbid us all." He's no book aficionado. So the fact that he was selling a book probably meant that he didn't think it was a genuine article.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would I have any knowledge of where to locate this person?
You could probably look him up. You have the resources. You could ask somebody. You could ask a friend who is a friend with him and get his number and give him a ring.
Yeah, he'll make sort of a mental note of that. But we'll, to kind of double up on that, look over to Lena and Hunter, who are making notes. I might be able to get us in contact with him to have a conversation, perhaps. If you could make a note to remind me to call them, I can reach out to my contacts, see if anybody can find them.
Done.
Thank you.
Mr. Rorick, what else do you remember? What other questions did they ask you?
Well, the police found me in a warehouse next to the river, and it's a bit hazy, but they kept asking about the Dyer manuscript and Pym's book, and those were the main questions. And they didn't really ask about anything other than these books or articles of information.
So there's something in that writing that they're
where
interested
Mr. Dyer
in.
was. I wouldn't tell them. He's a friend of mine. That they're kidnapping and beating me up. I hate to think of what they do to the professor.
Yes, of course, absolutely. It's best that you don't tell them anything. I admit I am curious. I would love to get into contact with him myself, but I understand. We're about to go off to Antarctica in a day anyway.
Well, we know a couple of people who at least can make a phone call. And I go find a phone.
Yeah, there's a phone in here.
All right, I'm calling
There's
Mr.
definitely a
Moore.
phone in this fancy hotel room.
Calling Professor Moore.
Okay. Yep. It rings a little bit longer than typical, but Starkweather actually answers. Yes, this is Starkweather Moore's expedition to Antarctica. How can I help you?
Yes, sir, this is Mr. Merrill, sir. I've got some pertinent information that I need to
I'm
pass
gonna give
along.
you to Mr. Moore, and he's
I need
gonna hear like the phone wait for a second, and then Moore comes over. Yes, Mr. Morell.
Yes, sir. Got some pertinent information. I'm here in the suite of Mr. Rorick. We had a
Yes, I saw
meeting
that
with
in
him
the
today,
papers.
and I will
Right.
read off all the notes. Everything,
Okay.
the book, Mr. Pym's, Dyer manuscript, all of that.
All right. Well, I'll inform Mr. Starkweather of the pertinent information, but I don't see this as any particular reason to not go to Antarctica. I mean, there's so much science there, and all the sabotage will be left behind us when we leave New York.
I agree, sir. And if you have any other information that you feel we should have as we're going about our daily business, my job is to keep everyone alive.
Yes, indeed.
I didn't anticipate having to do that before we ever left the States, but there it is.
Quite unusual, yes. But, no, preparations are making excellent progress. We are going to be ready to leave tomorrow morning, so just make sure you have your personal possessions on board before this evening's done, because we are not going back. We're not turning the boat around.
Understood, sir. I will have everyone there. Merrill out.
Right. Click. Hang up the phone. And, you see Mr. Rorick is just kind of stirring his cup of coffee, but I'm afraid that's all I can recall is they were just asking about Mr. Dyer and his manuscript and his book. I hope that information can be useful to you at some point.
It certainly is. It's anything is useful right now. Just want to get to the bottom of what
Yes.
we were being warned on. We've had a
He
few
said not to
things
go.
for a little-
It was very dangerous, more dangerous than you could realize. He wouldn't go into detail.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, we've had a few interesting warnings. Not so.
Yes. There's that letter that Lois got, for instance. Oh! It was just odd, really. There's so many people that don't want us to go.
It does seem that way. Was anything else
Doc?
said?
Doc, what's your professional nomenclature for a quackpot?
Or a crackpot, you say?
Quackpot.
Quackpot. I'll have a
Quackpot.
think as to what his official version of quackpot would be.
It sounds to me that's like what we're dealing with here. Someone who's connected, but yeah, just all sounds crazy to me.
I see. He's still considering that term and just being like, what would I call one of those? As he seemed enraptured by this idea. I will think
What
on
is the
this,
official
Hunter.
term?
I will get back to you with an official term of what a quackpot would be.
I look
And
forward
what
to it.
think on. You know, but
Unprofessional?
yes, I agree. Seems to be a quackpot. I do like the term.
Trying it.
Great, good work. Thanks for
It's
getting
going to be
important
tomorrow's paper.
Mr. Baxter, do we have any other business here?
Just drawing crackpot for tomorrow's paper. Yeah, we're good.
Can you get a copy of those other sketches that the Roy had?
Mr. Rick, do you mind?
Oh, not at all, not at all. And he'll pull out the sketches. Wasn't able to get the other two's faces, but I was able to get these two. They're both very.
Two is better than none.
Very
I'm sure we
dark.
can work with that.
It's at that moment, like, as he's, like, getting the other pictures, he also want to open up his little sketchbooks, like, also wanted to show you, and he'll show his rendition of the sketch.
That's very good.
Really?
Keep working on your art. Everyone has their own unique style. You should work on cultivating that.
You can see, but Baxter blushes a little as he takes the documents.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Rorick. It has been a delight. Hopefully we'll see you again after a triumphant expedition to the Antarctic.
Oh. Yes, indeed. And I'd also like to make a contribution to the expedition as well. See, I've got one of my butlers has expressed interest in joining your expedition. He's always wanted to travel, and I don't get around as much as I used to. So if you don't mind, his name is Bob Stoddart, and I'll have him bring his things to the Gabrielle. If you would allow him to accompany. I'm sure he'd be a great help on the expedition. He's very good at lifting things, moving things around, and assisting with whatever necessary.
Lina's making a bit of a face, like, but says nothing about the name.
Butler's always useful.
I'm sure you would know that, Doctor.
Indeed I would. I cannot bring my own, unfortunately. I would love to, but he has a house to maintain and things to dust and time off to have and, not much patience for the Antarctic or cold, in fact.
Understandable.
Well,
Oh.
we've got ourselves a butler who is quite interested in all of those things, apparently.
Bob's quite resilient with temperatures. He likes the cold.
Resilient Bob. A good
Yes.
name.
Bob the butler.
Mr. Roy, that decision will ultimately be made by Mr. Moore, or Professor Moore.
If you could just,
But,
if you could write something down. If you could just pass this along to him, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Excellent, will do. And I'll tell him what to have Mr. Stoddard report to. Have him standing bright and early ready. Expect to be quickly vetted. And I'll nod to Sebastian. Add that onto your list.
Certainly will.
And I will take out another sheet of my own paper, my rapidly thinning notebook here. I need to stock up on these. And I will write down Mr. Moore's suite number and phone number. If you happen to think of anything else, sir, before we leave on the expedition, give Mr. Moore a direct call. He knows that to expect you if needed.
Excellent. I'll be here. Not really getting out much this week.
Good. Pat him on the shoulder. Take care, sir.
You as well. Be safe.
Yes, and you as well. So glad to see that you are safe right now. Keep that up.
Plan on staying in here until my charity event is done. And with that, you all are able to leave the Netherlands Hotel and head over to Mr. Wintercroft's doctor's office, his business. All right.
Yes.
So as you guys head over that way, we're going to pop over to Birdie and Mr. Stewart. Mr. Hayden Stewart, who is, you're in the back of the nice vehicle. He says, all right, I've planned a lovely day for you and the lovely lady I am delighted to meet and to escort you along. First will be lunch at I wrote this down. The lunch at the Grand Central Oyster Bar, and followed by, as Mr. Wintercroft relayed to me, we want this to be as public as possible. Then will be a visit to the Museum of Art, followed by the Broadway premiere of The Mountain, and then ending with
I love that one.
It premieres tonight. It's quite exciting. And then followed lastly by dinner at Luke Chow's German restaurant. It's where all of the fancy people like to go after watching the Broadway musicals.
Nice. I'd already set out a anonymous tip to the press as well.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. So, you are able to... Yes.
I think Hayden, he's wearing this nice long kind of black coat, a nice suit with a very dark green tie, and a nice little hat with a nice little a cloth around it. It's nice purple, little
nice.
Yeah.
Get all fancied up. So, you pull up to Holly's house. Her name is Holly Connor, first and last name. And
I put that down somewhere, but I don't know where I put that.
Yeah. So you pull up to Holly's house, and you're able to kind of. Birdie goes, "Would you like to knock on the lady's door, or shall I fetch her for you?"
No, I'll do it. I'm a gentleman, of course, and
Of course.
keep the car running. I shouldn't be too long, or if I am, don't come running. I just.
Of course, sir. He doesn't seem phased.
Yeah, I get out and I'll saunter off. I have a cane as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The epitome of super classy right there. Got the cane.
What am I doing here?
So, you walk up to the door, you give it a knock. Within seconds, the door opens. Oh, hello, Mr. Stewart.
Good, Lindy. Well, hello, Holly. It's a pleasure to see you. You look, and I look at her. What do I see?
She's got her hair done up nice. She's got maybe a little too much makeup on, but she's actually wearing a nice dress. You can see the department store tag just sitting on the side table on the entryway, right next to her. But she's actually gotten all dolled up for the occasion, so she actually does look pretty nice.
Nice. And I'll say to her, you look stunning. You put me to shame.
Oh, you're just such a charmer, Mr. Hayden. So I'm so excited for our date today. Where are we going for lunch?
Oh, well, we have a stint at a nice restaurant, a nice play, and then a walk around a nice museum. Gonna get some culture in.
Oh my, I love
Beautiful and
culture.
intelligent woman like yourself. I'll probably visit that place more often than not. You can probably guide me around.
Oh yeah, of course. I love culture. It is just it's real enriching.
Indeed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Take your arm, and you're able to go back to the car. Where you arrive, or within not too long, you are able to arrive at the Grand Central Station Oyster Bar.
Segway.
I know, the pictures. now.
Flashy that was.
Mm-mm.
So it's a rather nice establishment. It's in a Grand Central Station, so there is a lot of through traffic, which is exactly what you want right now.
Mhm.
So it's not long before your table is kind of you feel like the tables surrounding your table get booked, and it's all journalists and photographers. And got like, oh, Mr. Hayden Stewart, it's funny we should run into you here. Do you have any commentary onto what happened to the good ship's captain who died yesterday?
Oh, please, ladies, gentlemen, please, let's just have some food. Let's enjoy the music.
Of course.
And I am shocked and chagrined at that. I had no idea it was going to happen at all. But when I got off the boat, it was crazy.
Yeah, they were like, oh, okay, and they put their notebooks down. Then you start talking, and they're like, they having to get it back up in order to take notes.
Just as a note as well, I did bring my gun with me.
Excellent. Yeah,
So,
have that tucked in there.
yeah.
Excellent. So you get talked to, and a couple of the journalists ask Holly who she is, and she's like, "Oh, I'm Holly Connor. I work at the the Diners. That's this little place, not too far from here." And they're like, and so you see like one guy's writing down, "British flyboy dates local New York City girl," and it's like, just theories, and you're not too concerned about these headlines. You're just making headlines.
I mentioned how I love my fans and how I give them the ultimate of attention.
Oh yeah.
I'm not one of those celebrities that shun them. No, I go above and beyond.
You do, and they make note of that as a couple people who are just dining in the restaurant as well to come over and ask to shake your hand and sign the napkin and get an autograph. Basically. I assume you
My
pulled out some
emergency
headshots from your suitcase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got them with you. It's like,
I got
it's
my
like a folder.
date headshots,
Yes.
which is basically
Oh,
the
okay.
same suit I'm wearing in a pose.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. So, you guys are having lunch, just getting mobbed by photographers. A very similar thing happens that afternoon at the museum as you guys are just walking around. And as you're at the museum, I would actually like you to give me a spot hidden check.
Oh, good. I totally didn't just make this character ineptly. What? Me? No, I didn't do that. Roll a thing. See. Okay, I've been pretty good on that buffet, so not too bad.
With a 14, that would be a hard success. Look at your rolls.
Yeah, I know.
Alright,
I
so-
would win.
It's the power of
You're,
love.
Power of headshot.
Power of headshots. Power of headshots compels you. So you're looking through this art museum, and you see that Holly is trying to pretend like she's been here before. She's like, and this is my favorite in this room. It's a piece of art by Mr. Monet, and he's got a great use of color in this piece. I just love how this water looks. It's beautiful. And she's definitely glancing at the plaques before she just tells you
I'm
about this.
I'm gonna lean in and I'm gonna lean into it and get close to her and just be like, I never did really get art. As grew up in London, I never really got most of all of this stuff. Beautiful painting, though, wouldn't you agree?
I definitely would. She gets all like you can like basically hear the heartbeat like when you get close. She's getting the vapors. Huh. Well, there's there's lots more beautiful things that I can show you while we're on our date today. And she will lead you into the next art gallery in the museum. But you notice, as you kind of lean over her shoulder to talk to her, you kind of look around, and you've been mobbed by photographers and reporters and journalists, and you've seen one. You recognize someone who you saw at the Oyster Bar is also here, but he's kind of keeping his distance. He might be following you.
Okay. Have I been to this museum before?
It's just the New York Museum of Art History.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'm probably I'm gonna go around a few of the exhibits, and I know some of them like to wind back bound if they're like themed and stuff. So I'm gonna try and do that and see if I can lose this guy.
Okay, sure. Give me. Let's see what kind of skill check that
I'm
would
also
be.
isolating myself.
Isolating yourself. Perfect. That's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
So just give me like a stealth check.
Okay,
Or,
cool.
Sneak, whatever.
A snack.
A snack and a snick.
Oh god, I
All
rolled so
right.
bad.
So with an 88, you're not able to lose him, but he doesn't seem to be conversing with anyone else. You're able to keep an eye on him now that you're aware he's there. He's just following nonchalantly. Kind of just writing stuff down.
I'll keep flirting with this woman.
Okay. She's eating it up. Mr. Stewart. And before you know it, Birdie comes to announce that if you're going to make it to Broadway in time, you're probably going to have to leave the art museum soon.
Oh, seems you have to go. Holly, your beauty has just been captivating me, and I've lost track of time. Let's go to the show, shall we?
Oh, of course. I'd love to. And you guys get into the car and head off towards Broadway. Do you let Bernie know you're being followed? Or he could always try to lose them while driving.
Yeah, like I think. Would you have told Bertie of the situation, Sebastian?
Birdie would know enough about the situation. He wouldn't give him every detail, but he'd let him know about the fact that there is a danger. And
Okay.
that, of course, you may be under some scrutiny.
Okay, then.
Is it your disposal? In other words.
Meat shield. What? I say to Bertie then, not to alarm suspicion. Bertie, take us to the theatre, would you? Oh, and I'd like to go a non-paparazzi route. I think I've seen enough of them, if you know what I mean.
Of course, sir. Yes. And he kind of he'll try to fail snaggily with his driving. And yeah, he's able to drive down some nondescript streets, and you don't see the gentleman following you anymore.
Okay.
Appears to have gotten in a cab and isn't sure where you headed off to. So, with your distraction being quite distracting, and eating up all the media attention, the others haven't really had as much attention focused on them. I think you've probably maybe bumped into one journalist, you guys, as you were leaving the Netherlands hotel. So we're gonna go pop over, to Mr. Wintercroft's office. What does your office look like, Sebastian?
So he's managed to get one of the floors on a sort of little block of offices almost, and it is his own private offices inside. He has one lounge room and just one sort of room where he does his appointments. It's all very fancy looking and flashy, leather sofas and seats and the like. Everything is kept very relaxed feel. It's very minimalist. And there's little bits of art on the wall that are very sort of simple and calming. And aside from that, he has a sort of little desk where his receptionist would ordinarily be sat. And yeah, aside from that, his door with his name on it.
Office of Dr. Sebastian Wintercroft.
Basically.
So you called to meet up with some of your not as legitimate clientele, and also to arrange psych exams, or to go over the psych exams because you had them all written down.
Yeah.
That's right. To try to compare handwriting. So you're waiting for the appointee for this appointment. Your patient. Patient. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. So you're waiting for your patient. You would have time. You think he's usually about half an hour later, so to start going through some of the documents, if you'd like to look for similar handwritings, or just through their profiles in general. So I'm gonna say that you can use a library use or a spot hidden here to kind of try to do some research here. And anyone can help with this as well. They can look through these. There's 58 members of the crew. Like you can. Here's a stack if you'd like.
Yeah, pretty much. I think
Lena will take a stack of stuff and start comparing notes.
All right. Give me library use or spot hidden.
I'll go with a spot hidden.
Ooh, 17. Nice.
Where is my spot? We're gonna go with spot hidden because I'm better at that.
All right. You have 68. That's a success. Is it what level of success is a 17 for you? Is it what's your spot hidden? Is it a hard success?
My spot hidden is like 7. My spot hidden is like 75.
Yeah, yours is ridiculously good.
Yeah, so mine is in the 7 bracket, so 25.
Excellent.
And below.
So perfect. So you have a hard success. What is your spot hidden at Crumpler? Mr. Baxter Wiggins.
Sorry, I forgot to mute. My spot hidden is 50.
50. Okay, yeah, so you all got, except for GS, you got hard successes and then a regular success. So you guys are looking through, and there is about 3 profiles that kind of spark on your radar. You don't see any matching handwriting looking through these stacks, but you do see 3 profiles that kind of stood out as maybe a little bit more stable enough to pass the exam, but less so than the others on the ship.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess we'll separate those out then, if everyone's in agreement.
Yeah.
And if there are 3 of them, it might be worth us each taking one and sort of going over that with scrutiny.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think before we start as well, Sebastian will kind of look over and go, brilliant work so far. If you notice anything that you think stands out, let me know. I'm happy to look over it from a psychology standpoint if need be. I appreciate the outside eyes.
Yeah. Suppose we'll just start going over this with a fine-tooth comb and see what we find.
Indeed.
All right. So you are going to I'm going to give you the names of the 3 that I had to look them up. One of them is Adam Henning. The other one is Whitney House, and Mr. Price. I don't have his first name. You know, their occupations are cook, mess boy, and storekeeper. On board, that's their duties on board the ship.
Brilliant. That's interesting. He will report that back and say, stockkeeper. We've had issues with our stock, have we not?
Yes. And each and every one of these people appears to be dealing with the food. In some way.
Which is curious. and also worrying if all of them are dealing with our food and stocks in some manner, and these are the 3 that are stable, but perhaps a worry with the given situation. Maybe we should interview these individually before we leave. What do you think?
I think you are spot on, sir.
Perhaps I can arrange something. Mr. Hunter.
So who do we start with? Perhaps the stockkeeper?
I think stockkeeper, and then move down from cook to mess boy.
That would make sense.
But yes, definitely. Mr. Hunter, would you be able to perhaps get in contact with Mr. Moore? You have the best rapport out of all of us with them, of course, and perhaps get them to send these 3 to us?
Yes, absolutely can do that. But tell me, Doc, what is the flag that throws up on their paperwork as to why you suspect these? What's the reason? I can't just tell them, hey,
Of course.
need a reason.
Well, I believe we should probably look through them more in a bit more detail. That is a very good point, Hunter. I can try and pick them up, as I'm sure Baxter and Lena can also help with. If we find those specific things, I can make a case as to why we should have them in here.
Mr. Moore would definitely want to know that, so we're not going to go to him half-assed. Make sure we give him all the details as possible.
Of course, as always, your very careful and analytical mind is very appreciated, Hunter. Thank you.
Gonna knock at the door.
I answer it.
It's this kind of greasy looking guy in a suit that's about, the pants look right, but the jacket looks like 2 sizes too large. He's got like a crooked tie. His top button's unbuttoned. You get like a whiff of alcohol off of him. And he's got his hair like greased all the way back. And he's like, "You're not Mr. Wintercroft."
What's your name?
Who, me? Who's asking?
Yes, you.
Me?
What's your name?
What's your name?
Doc, is this him?
He'll look over. What is his patient's name?
Your patient's name is he gives you a different name every time he comes, but you generally just call him refer to him by his title, which is the Sleaze.
Ah, Mr. Sleaze, please come on in.
Yeah,
He says,
that's
restraining
Sleaze.
a smile.
Yeah, there's the duck right there.
I help him in. I help him into the room and then look down the hallway. Just make
There's
sure.
no one else behind him.
Close the door.
He knocked over like a potted plant on his way in a little bit. But it looks like he tried to pick it back up, but like the dirt's kind of out of the pot and on the floor of the carpet a little bit.
That will be fine, Mr. Sleaze. Thank you very much. We'll get something to clean.
So many people here today. Well, hello there. And he kind of like slicks his hair back a little bit more and leans on the table.
Yes.
Looks at Lena.
Hello.
She's gonna kind of edge ever so slightly closer to the doctor.
Sleaze, I would like
Mr.
to.
Sleaze? Was it?
Yeah, you can
that-
call me Jonathan.
Mr. Jonathan Sleaze.
Right.
Of course.
Mr. Jonathan Sleaze, of course.
He's one of my prized patients here. Very,
People
very
say.
interesting mind. And I must say, by the way, Mr. Sleaze,
Yeah.
this is my assistant. They are a scientist, particularly an archaeologist usually, but they are looking into other parts of the mind to get a better gauge on history,
yeah.
of course.
She
So
can
we
look in
thought
my
that-
mind anytime.
Exactly, and what a brilliant one you have, Mr. Sleaze.
Yeah, she
And so I
seems
believe that
pretty
you'll be-
brilliant herself, a scientist, and he kind of just plops himself onto your red couch, kicks his feet up.
He'll sort
Yes,
of give a look to the people outside the office
I-
and kind of give them a nod before closing it and letting Lena continue.
I tend to spend most of my time with dead things and bones and library books and
That's great. I'm
not
so
people.
glad that there's women out there who aren't intimidated by dead things and bones.
Right. Well, should we start the examination, Doctor?
I believe we should. He
You
says
could
and
start
kind of
any
takes a
time
seat
you
on his
like.
chair.
Scalpel.
Now we're here for your lobotomy.
Lena looks
okay?
decidedly close to vomiting.
Yeah, Dr. Wintercroft will give Lena a very sort of a side look, so that he looks like he's just looking to confirm that she's ready, but is in reality his eyes are giving you the "I'm really sorry" look. So,
And she looks ready to take notes.
it won't be too long a session today. We'll of course run through some of the issues that you brought up last time, as well as discussing some of
that whole stuff there. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yes.
just the nightmares. They're real bad. You know, I just can hardly sleep at night. I think I'm gonna need you to refill my prescription a lot again. It's just-
Well, Mr. Sleaze, I can certainly look into that for
Yeah.
as legitimate a man as yourself, but first of all, we will need a couple of things ourselves. For example, tell me of your dreams, Mr. Sleaze.
Well, you know, they're real bad. It's keeps me up at night, kind of stuff. You know, like people dying, and then you're like, it's real bad. I don't want to go into too much graphic detail about, in front of a
No, Mr.
genteel.
Sleaze,
Oh,
that
no,
is
no.
what we're here to do, in
Please.
fact.
All right, well, in that case, you see, there's this one guy, and I was like, in my dream, I was walking down an alley with my friend, and
Yes.
there was another guy. He walked on the other side of the alley, and he wasn't supposed to be in this alley because this is like my friend's alley. And he kind of took out in my dream, took out a knife, and he kind of stabbed him a few times.
Right.
And then it was blood everywhere, like all over the place. Like I didn't even stab the guy; it was all over me. And then, so we kind of like in my dream, we had to chop them up into bits and put them in a couple different dumpsters in the city, and it just was real. It was very vivid and detailed. My dreams, but I don't have the stuff, my medicine. And then after that,
Of course.
we had to get new clothes and go
Perhaps this-
elsewhere. And then I saw like
perhaps
my
this-
mom in my dream, and
That's
she was
very-
real disappointed in
yes.
me. Yeah, uh-huh.
No, of course, a
can't
disappointed mother who's
imagine
spoken
why.
that much. However, Mr. Sleep, perhaps the alley is speaking of your mind, and perhaps this intruder that is coming forward towards your friend is some sort of issue with your mood, perhaps your own self-confidence. I can tell by the look of you, you seem a little bit rushed today. Have you been having any stress, perhaps? Maybe chopping the intruder into little
constant
bits
stress.
is a way of
You know,
your
it's-
mind saying to get rid of it.
Yeah, well, ever since the depression, I haven't really been able to find much work, so it's very stressful. And, I've been picking up odd jobs here and there, but, it's
What
just-
kind of
it's
odd
never-
jobs have you been picking up now, then, Mr. Sleaze?
Oh, I've been doing some, delivery, delivery boy work, just
Yeah,
bringing packages to places for people, and,
pizzas, things like that.
yeah, like a lot of pies.
You say
Yeah.
still taking notes.
Uh-huh.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
of course.
Some of
we
my
know
friends
everything
give me
here.
work from time to time,
Which friends are these again? Are these ones we spoke about before?
Yeah, some of them.
Don't worry, Mrs. Sleaze. As you know, everything in here is confidential. None of this information will get out. This is between the three of us, so to speak.
Yeah, they've been there's been a lot of business going on for some of my friends lately. It's been real busy, the streets these days.
Oh, I know. There's been a lot of commotion, it seems, on the streets. I've heard about
Yeah.
Mr. Rorik. I mean, that was
Yeah,
Very
like some
interesting.
fancy rich artist guy got kidnapped. It's crazy.
I know.
Um,
Exactly. It's very strange. Have you heard anything
Yeah.
about that when you've been going around?
oh gosh, I heard anything about Mr. Rorik's abduction. Gosh, it's like I'm trying to remember if I know anything.
I mean, I'm writing your prescription right now, but your memory
Oh.
seems to be a bit addled. Perhaps I can't write
Yeah.
this anymore. You
No,
say
no,
as
no,
close as
no,
the
it's
book.
coming to me now. It's coming. It's happening. Just takes a moment to get to the
He opens
surface
the
of
book
my large
very
brain.
slowly.
Uh-huh.
You have a very large brain, Mr. Sneeze.
I do. There's a lot of things going on up in here. Yeah, I heard there was some Germans in town, and that they was looking for some papers, and that they didn't want to rough up the guy, but you wouldn't. I mean, tell them what they wanted to know. These are just rumors. I usually work with the Italians, not the Germans, so this is just what they were talking about around the game of poker last night. But
yes, of course, Mr. Sleaze.
Yeah. So there were some Germans, and one of them had been frequenting this pub on the near the docks. One of them, well, I say pub speakeasy, really, they don't serve alcohol, but they definitely do.
I must say I've been definitely needing a kick of that myself recently. I must say it's different being in the...
there's rumors that the prohibition's going to be ended in a couple months, so...
We can only dream.
Yes, fingers crossed.
I might have to pop some speakeasy sometime myself, actually. Very stressful work.
I think one of the guys' names... what is that? And you can see he's, actually genuinely thinking this time, and not just...
Yeah.
pretending to think.
Brilliant.
He was gone by Anthony Southcott. That sounds right.
It's a
not very German name, but that's what he was going by.
Well,
and
perhaps
there's been some other deals going on too. So.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm about 3/4 through your prescription. You should speak some more.
Yeah. No, I'll keep talking.
Brilliant.
Yeah, there's some guys who have been they're planning something. I don't know what it is, but some money was changed hands. There's been a lot of dock activity lately, but some money changed hands near the docks last night. Yeah. Last night.
Interesting.
And Doyle. This guy named Doyle. Redheaded guy, he must be Irish or something. He's been handing out some money for people to do things by the docks. But I
do things.
Yes. Yeah.
Any
I don't know what
things
these
in
things are,
particular?
because when I went up to talk to him about hey, I see you're handing out money, he just was like, sorry, money's run out. I was like, oh, he must not like Italians very much. So I just kind of left because he looked a little aggressive. I try to avoid confrontation whenever possible. So,
of course. You're a gentle soul, of course.
I never hurt a fly.
Never.
But yeah, this guy named Doyle's been hiring people to do things.
It's interesting, actually, that. And Lena, do you have any questions for, of course, the amazing...
Any questions at all? I'm an open book.
Of course not, please.
Of course. Sorry, I really haven't had a chance to go over all of the notes. What did you say you do exactly, Mr. Sleaze? Odd jobs?
Odd jobs. Yeah, odd jobs. Work here and there. It's been real hard to find a steady job since the Depression, but I'm definitely looking for one. I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
I'll get one any day now.
I'm sure you will.
I visit the line to go get jobs, and I keep putting applications in, but for some reason I get interviewed and then they pick somebody else. I don't get it.
Well, you just keep right on trying, and I'm sure you'll do fine.
Sure I will. If I had a lovely lady to support me in these endeavors, I'm sure I'd do even better.
Well, I'll give you all of my encouragement right here and now, sir. Good luck.
Thanks. You busy this afternoon?
Actually, yes. As a matter of fact, I am.
What about the
very busy?
dinner?
It's a lot of work here.
Evening?
Yes, I must apologize. I have thrown far too much work.
Okay. Well, maybe
Maybe
next
another time.
Maybe next appointment. Yeah. You could be out of town for a little bit though, right, Doc? So
Yes,
maybe...
I am actually. That's why I was thinking about getting you a bit of a prescription ahead of time. Of course, I will have to trust you with this.
Of course, I would. Yes. Oh, no. Only for myself.
Of course.
Yes.
I will write your prescription. My receptionist will have it. If you pop back in every, let's say, month, you'll be able to get a
For
restocking.
first of the
of
month,
it.
I could do that. Yeah.
Of course. And aside from
Sounds
that,
great, Doc.
we have a few other things to cover before you leave, of course, but the main part is done, he says, and
Yeah.
writes off the end. But how about we talk about your mother? He will say.
Oh, yeah. He's like,
And then we'll get
"Oh,
back to his normal
yeah,
session.
that." Uh-huh. He actually does have legitimate, like, mom issues. And that's why you keep seeing him.
Yeah. No, he will
Yeah.
genuinely be, sympathetic and professional with him,
Mhm.
and will, talk with him about these issues and the rest of his issues properly from
Yeah.
that point onwards.
Mhm. So it takes a little while for him to get it all out. And by the end, he's like crying, and he's just, "Thank you for listening so much.
Hand him
I
some
really
tissues.
appreciate it." Oh yeah, thank you.
Just
It was
remember,
a
you're
lovely
strong.
meeting you, Miss. And yes, thank you. I will be back on the first. I'm gonna miss you while you're gone, Doc. When it's you're back. I'll have to have another one of these.
Of course. And one more thing, Mr. Lees, he says before he goes to a drawer, and we'll take out some paper and a pen, and then we'll write a few things down, and then we'll hand it over to him. A recommendation for you: you should hand that into a job if need be. It says that you are sound of mind. You will, of course, need to have a review in a few months with me, but aside from that, keep on the job
Yeah.
applications, and you have my recommendation.
I will. So, pretty lady, what job field do you think I should go into? What kind of work? What kind of work's impressive?
What do you think? That is a very good point, Lena. He says, and will turn.
You are, well, by my assessment, you are quite the people person. I would say something where you can do service for others, do something good.
Good. Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind as I look for jobs. And he will walk out. Hunter and Baxter have been in kind of like the waiting room, where you've heard like, and then you heard like crying at some point, and then it stops, and you see him come out, and he's just, and he kind of sees you guys, and like walks over to that plant. He's like, "Sorry, I knocked you over." Flasks, kind of walks back, and there's waves as he kind of walks out the door back onto the street.
Well, that was enlightening.
You did not tell me he was an absolute. Anyway, I would have liked a little
Lovely man. He
preparation
just
for
has
that.
many issues.
You are a very forgiving soul, Sebastian.
I prefer to call it understanding. He says, and kind of
That's
smiles
fair.
a little bit. Nonetheless,
Well.
we've got quite a bit of information from that.
Yes, he did corroborate the information that we got from Mr. Rorick. So there's that.
Indeed.
And I would like Mr. Wintercroft to give me a psychoanalysis roll, just to see if Mr.
course.
Sleaze does get any sanity back from his therapeutic session.
Get his mom issues out of the way.
Yeah, because he's got to tide him over till you get back. So
Let's have a look. 36. So that is a
success.
do a success. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, he will get 4 points of sanity after getting his issues
Nice.
out, and apparently not immediately getting rejected and slapped by a woman was also good for his ego too.
A good start.
So
Progress.
he's gonna get 4 points of sanity back from that.
Keep trying, buddy. Keep trying.
All right.
Brilliant.
So after that session, we're gonna go back to Mr. Hayden Stewart, who's been on his hot date all day today. You went to the Broadway show, The Mountain, which its opening night is tonight, September 11th, 1933. Unfortunately, it only had 4 performances, and I couldn't find a playbill for it, but it was the only one I could find that had an opening night of tonight. So that's what you see. There's something it's kind of obscure. You're like not really sure what happened, but like the music was good. There was some really good sets and scenery, like lots of mountains.
Nice.
had a lot of good talents. There was even a mountaineer. There was a clerk of the court. There was some kind of office trial. It was entertaining. It was like a adventure comedy kind of thing.
Nice.
But afterwards,
Topical.
yes, very topical. You go to the Luchao's restaurant, which is rather fancy and a little schmancy. It is filled with people, most of which who had attended shows themselves, though all the cool people go to opening night. So you were able to see lots of other fancy people there who had who knows what kind of business, but most of them went to Luchao's restaurant. And I have a picture for that. So
Transitions there.
I know, it's fancy. So you're able to get a nice seat at a table and give me another spot hidden check as you kind of walk around the restaurant, get your seat.
Such a lovely play, wasn't it? Quite nice.
Oh, I loved that moment when the mountaineer felt like to mount them, and then let's see.
Got 10-10.
Oh man, I just loved it. And then Sally had to kiss him, and like it was a tearful goodbye. I got a little emotional, not gonna lie, during the scene when the mountaineer, and he was paralyzed for life, but they wound up having
I
fun.
agree.
And it was really nice. I liked it.
Nice romantic telling of our time.
Yes, it was so adventurous and romantic. Is that kind of dangers you're gonna face in Antarctica?
Oh, probably worse, I'd say.
Oh my,
Yes.
that's crazy.
Well, you have to enjoy every moment you can get while you can. I learned that being a pilot. You never know when an engine's going to burst or when you're going to suddenly lose control and the wind currents suddenly turn on you.
That's crazy.
It is. But invigorating.
Yeah, so invigorating. Wow. And so you're chilling in this restaurant, and you said you rolled 2 10s, 100. You are pretty oblivious to the press at this point. Like you like the spotlight, but it's been all.
Yeah,
And it's just been a little bit much,
it has.
needless to say. So you sit down, and about halfway through dinner, which is the German rye bread is delicious. It is it's very good food here. Bertie did his homework. You overhear a name. You didn't see her as you walked in, but you notice a few tables down, you recognize her from the papers. Miss Acacia Lexington is dining at a table.
I see this, and I do what you should always do. I set the atmosphere and light a healthy cigar inside, and as most people are probably smoking in here.
Oh yeah, there's
And
a lot of smoke in here.
I'll take it and I'll be like, oh, I see someone who I see me dealing. Excuse me 1 minute, will you, Holly?
Sure.
I'll
We'll
be
be waiting
right.
right here.
With bated breath, I hope, and I.
Oh. And she's
I'm so
just
drunk.
she laughs. Yeah, you approach Miss Lexington's table.
I do, yes. Good evening, Miss Lexington. The night is treating you well.
Oh, excuse me, have we met?
Not officially, no, but we're, well, compatriots, I should say. I'm
Looks awfully familiar. Have I seen you in the papers recently? Charity auction? I'm so busy, I just can't keep track of all the faces I see, people I meet.
ace pilot, actually. I'm one of those who are going to the Antarctica expedition.
Oh, now I can place it. You're going on the Starkweather and More expedition, are you not?
I am. Like, what do I see? She by herself? Does she have like an entourage? Like a body?
She appears to be waiting for someone. Like she's got her drink, but the food hasn't been ordered yet. So there's an empty a chair across from her.
I kind of get out my napkin that I have, and just kind of wipe my mouth a bit. May I sit down?
She's got like the long cigarette holder. She's sitting here.
May I?
Well, I suppose, but when my, of course, my person I'm expecting gets here, I'm gonna have to request you to leave, because this is a very important business dinner before I head out to Antarctica myself.
Oh, of course. I would hate the thought to keep you up. But, yes, about your trip. That's very invigorating to know that we're going to have a bout of competition going through. I was speaking with your first mate today, actually.
Were you really? Well.
Yes, nothing, too substantial, don't worry. Merely talking about the...
I never worry.
About the problems we've been having. Well, I've heard you've been having.
Rumors, really. I believe we're gonna make excellent time for the expedition. I think we're scheduled to leave in the morning.
Oh, that's wonderful. You know, I don't know the business between you and the person who's funding the expedition. I'm in it purely for the adventure and the journey. So I have
Likewise, I intend to be the first woman to touch that Antarctic continent, make headlines worldwide, and give encouragement to women everywhere else. They too can achieve great things. They put their minds to it. It isn't just a man's world out there. It's a woman's world now.
And rightly so. You know, we have two very prominent female scientists aboard us as well. So perhaps it will be crossing all
something about that in the papers, and the papers that hit the presses, aside from mentioning the kidnapping of Nicholas Roerick, they also had the promotional pictures from your photo shoot the other morning.
My penguin shoot.
The penguin shoot. People were rather impressed, and in fact, a lot of the journalists have been asking you about it today. But she goes, "Yes, I saw a little something about that. Some scientist women. How fascinating."
Indeed, yes. I've been saying that we should be really going more sportsmanlike. I am, of course, a aviator sportsman myself, and all of this jabbing and prodding is good, but at the end of the day, we all want to get to the same place and get what we can. It's not all about, making others stumble. Not all the time, anyway.
Of course. I have dealt with Mr. Starkweather in the past, and let's just say that in all of our endeavors, if our paths so happen to cross, we have just a friendly little rivalry.
Yes, of course. Are you going to be flying the plane yourself? How long have you been a pilot?
Oh, I've picked up a few lessons here and there. My daddy, when he was still around, bless him, wanted me to be a well-rounded, well-educated woman. And so I took up piloting lessons, as I like the thrill of being in the air. I imagine it's going to be akin to the thrill of stepping onto that Antarctic soil.
Oh, yes, I know the thrill of being in the air. You know, I once flew a custom plane on a hurricane once. It was quite invigorating. It was quite the expose on myself.
I'm sure it was.
Oh, yes, you can be sure of that. But I just wanted to greet you and hope you have a good night, and just inform you that I hope there are no more malfunctions with your trip. We also, and I kind of look around, and I show her that I'm looking around. They say, I guess we go to early. And I say, well, I hope there is all is well on both sides.
Likewise, Mr. Stewart.
Enjoy your evening.
You as well.
No.
She kind of just taps her cigarette holder into the ashtray and there's another long pull as you kind of walk away. And she definitely watches you walk back to the table where Holly is like, she's got her compact out because she need to be away for a couple minutes, and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Stewart, you're back. Hi. I was just getting brushed up a little bit."
Them props. Great. She goes, "Oh yes, yes. I wasn't gone too long. Who did miss me? Oh, the meal is here."
Yes. It's a full hearty meal. There is bratwurst and sauerkraut, and it's all good German food with schnitzel as well. And you guys have some apple strudel for dessert. It's very good food, actually. You're a bit surprised at the quality. And,
I think I like try and keep an eye out for whoever the guest was.
Yeah, not too much long, about 15 minutes after you go back to your seat, a gentleman walks in. He's tall, he's wearing a suit, he's kind of got darker hair, kind of slipped over to the side a bit, and they apparently start to have a conversation. They don't order a full meal here, but they do get some of the rye bread as an appetizer. They talk for a little while, and then they leave together.
Interesting. Nice. I was like taking note of that, and then I'm probably once again oblivious to what's happening, and then just concentrate on my day and believe more things. I'm like, so where did you grow up? That's how I'd love to know all about.
I've been a New York City girl my whole life. If you can believe it. Just you could say the city. It's in my blood. It's just I love it so much. The hustle, the bustle. I've even got myself a little apartment. It's not too far from here, but it's a nice place.
The place I picked you up from. Yes. It was quite nice and cozy.
There was actually a nice little flower bed up front, but it's one of those like townhomes. And she's like, yeah, so not a lot of waitresses are able to have their own house here in New York City. But I've been here for so long, I just saved up, got myself a nice little spot right now, walking distance from a lot of places, so I don't even need a car.
You know what? That's more people need to do that. A good stiff upper lip and hard work is what I always say. I brought myself up by my own bootstraps, and well, now I'm flying the air. So
exciting, and she's just throughout the evening, she's gotten a little bit more confident, especially as you've continued to flirt with her, and so she's kind of flirting back now at this stage on the night. She goes, as dinner's kind of winding down, she's like, well, that was just absolutely delicious, and today has just been an utter delight. As you guys are walking out, what I could go for? I could go for, a late night cup of coffee. You wanted to, come over to my place, I could brew you up a cup. I even got some tea, if that's what you're more interested in.
I've been saying this all day. I have been dying for a nice, good cup of coffee.
All right. And so Birdie drives you back to her place where you have a nice, good, hot cup of coffee. And we're going to fade to black there.
And then I die.
No.
She's an assassin.
I was a secret assassin this whole time. No, I'm kidding. Surprise! No, not really.
Oh, Mr. Stewart, I don't want you to talk.
That doesn't happen. So it fades to black, and we're gonna cut back to the rest of the crew. You concluded your psychiatry session with your rather interesting client, who's more than happy to have his prescription refilled for the duration that you're gone. He was actually a little legitimately worried about it, because he knew you're heading out of town. You guys have a list of some names, and you also know you have to put your personal possessions and belongings on the boat tonight.
What's the time is right now?
It's about dinner time right now. 6 o'clock. It's dark outside.
When Sleaze leaves, Hunter will hurriedly rush into the office. Doc, what do you say? Did you find out anything new?
We found out quite a few interesting things. Lena, do you have the notes handy?
Yes, of course.
And she has up the notebook where she was jotting things down.
We got quite a lot of information from Mr. Sleaze.
We did.
Can we talk about it on the way to get some food? I'm getting famished here.
Of course,
You know,
there's
that's a good
some
idea.
delightful places.
I am definitely hungry, and I could go for a drink of something strongly caffeinated.
I'm sure we can arrange that.
Yeah, there's several.
Got all the
it's New
notes?
York City. There's places all over. You guys head to a nice little like Italian like cafe. They've got
Yeah.
strong coffee, espresso, and they also have pizza and pasta and all this kind of stuff. So
All right,
Yeah, this place-
we get the food ordered and spill the notes.
Yeah, so once the food's ordered and she's had a few sips of her coffee, Lena opens up the notebook on the table at the nearest, clearest space.
So, between what we heard from Mr. Rorick and Mr. Sleaze, does he have a real name, Sebastian?
Jonathan Sleaze. I do not ask for his real name. He's very sensitive about the subject, understandably, with what he's mixed up in, and therefore we keep it to a anonymous basis. I have his number. I know where to call.
Understandable. I don't think I want to ask any more questions about him.
Ironically,
So,
it was his idea.
well, at least he's self-aware. That's a step.
Indeed.
And she starts outlining everything that they learned in the notes and what they corroborated with Mr. Rorick about the German men that had kidnapped him and the looking for the writing.
Oh, and don't forget, Sebastian, you should call your contact so we can get in touch with Mr. Stanley Edgar.
Brilliant. I'll do that right now, actually. Thank you for the reminder. Oh,
course.
one more thing as well. The German gentleman is said to frequent a pub. We did actually get a location for that. He meets there every evening.
Yes.
Apparently. Now, I don't
And
believe
when-
that would be the best. Sorry, Hunter.
When they mention Southcott specifically, I will pause the conversation. Did you say Southcott? Anthony Southcott?
You did. Anthony Southcott.
Yes.
Flip through my notebook. Find that page. Yes, Anthony Southcott. He was one of those who signed in to the doc before Douglas did. And he didn't sign out until about an hour after.
It looks like we might get a hit there.
Uh,
There we have it.
That was a good
seems to be
catch.
something substantial.
Well, I made sure to give that name to Detective Hansen, so maybe we should give Mr. Hansen another call. We're going to be gone here in just a matter of a few hours.
Of course. Well then,
Yes, that's
Mr.
true.
Hunter, would you wish to make the call to the detective? Let him know everything that we've found out. Don't tell him my source, of course.
Of course.
And aside from that, I will make my call. Thank you very much, Ms. Lena. I appreciate
Yes, of
the
course.
reminder. I had honestly forgotten. Sleaze does that to your mind.
I can imagine. He's a lot to keep track of.
She holds several pages of notes.
Though there is one final thing as well. I will make my call, but we need to look over those 3 reports. Baxter, have you had the
Yes.
chance to look through them?
As he finish up a quick sketch. Yes, actually, yes. Which note specifically you're talking about, Doctor?
The 3 patients that we had singled out.
That was Mr. Adam Henning, a Whitney House, and a Mr. Price, the
Price.
stockkeeper,
Yeah.
whom I think we were going to examine first, it seemed like.
Yeah, you could look through their
Yes.
profiles, and again, there's nothing that sparked any red flags, like in an interview for like a psychic bell, but they just weren't as green as the rest of them. They're more like the yellow zone.
Yeah.
Each one sparked kind of different things. One of them was kind of not very forthcoming. That would be Mr. Price. Mr. Adam, he kind of went back and he kind of waffled on his answers a little bit to a couple things where like he was trying to give the correct answer rather than just give an honest answer, which isn't entirely uncommon in psych exams, but it did raise a little suspicion.
Flags.
And then the third one, they just had some nervous tics that were made notice of.
Okay.
Mr. Whitney.
In which case he will report that back then and sort of just double check that his memory is correct with what Baxter is obviously talking about. And then we'll sort of look towards Hunter. I can possibly do a quick reevaluation of each. I could make a case as to why. I will add a few things in there to make it that they need one. I could then pass that on to you to pass to, of course, Mr. Moore. See if we can have that arranged tonight. A quick half an hour session with each should suffice to at least put our worries to rest.
Do you have the time for that and then everything else we need to do?
It depends on how this call goes. I'll make the call, see what happens. If we have an appointment there, we should be able to hail a cab or something at least, get over there and visit them. I could possibly do it on the late evening. I can go to bed late. I might need somebody to take my things to the boat. That's the only thing that would be a problem, of course.
Oh, well, I still need to take mine there. I could take them for you.
If you're sure, Lana, that would be brilliant.
Of course.
All right, so who do you call first, Sebastian? You've got a list of people.
I certainly have. So he's going to call his contacts first and look into the
Yeah, they're able
bookseller.
to give you the phone number. Apparently, Stanley Edgar is in Pennsylvania, but he's able to give you his phone number to give him a ring.
Brilliant. That's amazing. So in which case he will take that number down immediately and will basically report back to the others as he'll go back and go, I have a number for Mr. Stanley. I may be able to give him a call. Do you wish me to proceed with that now, or?
You're handling this. You know the route better than I do.
I imagine, though your straightforward nature is very appreciated in many, many aspects. But yes.
I would say make it happen.
We'll make it so. He goes to the phone, we'll put in the number then, and aside from that, we'd sort of gesture for Leonard to come over and give him a hand, because it's a lot of information for him to remember, and he's amazing at having information, and he's just like, please, I can speak, but my mind.
Notes.
Get the brain up.
All right, so you call Mr. Stanley Edgar first?
Yes.
Okay. The phone rings, not for very long, and you hear a voice, hello?
Hello.
This is the Edgar residence.
Brilliant. I was given this number to call in order to contact a Mr. Stanley.
Oh, yes, Mr. Stanley is here. Who may I ask is calling?
This is Dr. Sebastian Wintercroft.
One moment. And
Hi.
like a minute, she just sets the phone to the side. You hear, yes, hello, Mr. Dr. Wintercroft, is it?
Indeed it is. It's a pleasure to hear from you. Been a while.
Yes, I believe we have a mutual friend. He's spoken up very highly of you.
Certainly, and all of mine have spoken very highly of you too. There is, however, business that I'm calling for. I'm sure you've heard the expedition to the Antarctic is leaving.
Of course. Quite exhilarating.
Indeed. And before I set out, there is a curious bit of business, actually. I thought you may, with your extensive knowledge of books, would have some information
Certainly.
that I need. Brilliant.
Any assistance I could give would be, of course, more than happy to relate.
There was a book that you sold, actually. Hymn's book?
Oh, Oh!
Look at confirmation from Lena.
Goodness, I have.
She nods.
Haven't heard of him. It's been spoken in quite some time. I sold it at an auction, I believe, to Mr. Lexington. What would you like to know about it? Oh, well, I guess I'll just go on about it in great length then for a moment, since you're just rapt with attention. So, I'll just give you the whole story. You see, I was the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. It differs in several aspects of style from the rest of Mr. Edgar Allan Poe's typical works. The manuscript that I had acquired was substantially the same as the published work in its first 25 chapters, including those same uncharacteristic usages and turns of phrase that he's so known for. You see, however, the additional 4 chapters were quite different even from the remainder of the manuscript, both in style and content, and they had clearly been written by a different hand. Once this was clear to me, I had no further interest in the work. It was, however clever the fiction, it was evidently not Mr. Poe's tale, but perhaps a homage or an attempted forgery, and thus I sought to recover my purchase price. By many means possible, a charity was a good cause, so Mr. Lexington apparently brought it eagerly. I concealed nothing from him when he came to examine the manuscript. As you know, I'm a very straightforward and honest businessman. He drew his own conclusions and was delighted at his purchase, though, for which I wished him well. As I recall, he was quite excited by the possibility that the narrative represented in the undocumented collaboration. He was more interested in that than the original work. I didn't seek to dissuade him, to each their own, you know. But, a few other collectors have acquired it over the years, but I referred them all to Lexington, as he had now owned the book. But, there's little else I can say about the purchase, other than it was just... the other chapters were just fiction and unpleasantly speculative. Much more than usually macabre than Poe's work, and I believe they dealt with a tribe of inhuman horrors that dwelt in the Antarctic and practiced human sacrifice. But absolutely absurd, as we all know. No one lives down there. It's completely inhospitable. Nothing more than penguins and seals. You know.
Okay.
But, I believe it's now dinner time, so I'm going to leave you to it. Ta-ta, ring me again if you have any questions.
Lena
You were
will
able to
have
catch
been
all of
listening
that,
and
Lena.
recounting. Yes.
All of it.
He talks very loud, so she heard it through the receiver.
Yeah, he's very loud. Like, he actually had to hold it away from his face a little bit.
Yes.
Horrors in the Antarctic. That's, something.
Seems
She starts
A little
scratching
ridiculous.
things down and,
Like,
yeah.
tribes
little,
of
like-
doing human sacrifices in the Antarctic.
Yes. But she's captured it and will return with Sebastian to the table.
Sebastian had to go to the
Well-
loo.
Yeah. So she heads back to the table with the others with these notes.
So we found out about Pym's book. That's a interesting tale.
And she will recount the details about these inhuman horrors.
Most of what we already know. It was the last 4 chapters that were apparently different from the first 25 or so. And as it turns out, that last bit was some sort of speculative fiction he described, where the Antarctic was rife with tribes of inhuman horrors that conducted human sacrifice. I suppose Mr. Lexington was interested in this for whatever reason. It's silly, honestly, but
She looks a little
Yeah.
nervous and reaches for her coffee, and it's probably gone cold by this point, but she's drinking the rest of it anyway.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
so
That's silly indeed. People actually living in the Antarctic.
yes, exactly. That's unlikely in this day and age, at least. As far as I'm aware. But it is
Well-
information we were seeking, and that is the information we've gotten.
Whatever
Better or
the
worse.
story, whatever this narrative, speculative or not, it's obvious some people wanted it. And if current events are any relation, some people want it badly.
Yes, that's the part that's rather worrisome, if you ask me.
Yes, that's
The lengths
that's
that people are willing to go for this.
That's the exact part that has me worried. Okay, keep those notes. We're going
course.
to make sure we get those back to Mr. Moore. Maybe he can shed some light on it. Those two are definitely more learned than I, so.
You don't think he's going to expect that we've gone off our rockers, do you? You know him better than any of us, of course.
No, not that at all. Honestly, right now, I don't know what he's going to say about all of this. Because this is all new territory. In all the adventures I've been on with those two, never encountered anything like this. So, yeah, this is new territory. This is a new expedition.
Well, I'll hang on to these, along with anything else. I don't think we need to give this part to the authorities. It's got nothing to do with that situation with Mr. Douglas.
Nope,
Indeed.
agreed.
Indeed.
All right.
Who's for dessert?
Let's finish our meal and ponder this some more. But yeah, let's just relax, eat, drink, and then we'll handle this as we go.
Of course.
Yeah, you guys are able to get a bunch of cannolis for dessert from this Italian restaurant, and they're real good. Do you give Mr. Moore a call to update him on the psychiatric people things?
I would
say
ask what Sebastian would want to do.
Yeah, Sebastian comes back for a moment. He goes, I called Mr. Moore, and he said it'd be probably most efficient since everyone's already on the boat already to just do the interviews in one of the rooms down there. I quite agree. So after dinner, we should probably just head straight to the boat. And I also informed the police, and they said that that name that you had mentioned,
Southcott.
Mr. Southcott, yes. They said he was staying at the same hotel that our dear former captain was staying at. It was the room right across the hall. But he apparently checked
Really?
out the same day that the body was found.
No current known location.
No, they're currently looking for him, though.
All right.
I'm going to go back.
let's-
Well, if that's... Well, if that's not suspect, I don't know what is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to tell anything. I don't want to tell Hanson anything else. He's got all the information that we want to share with him right now. Everything else we'll handle on the boat. So after we finish up, we'll head back to our hotel room. Do any last minute items we need to do. Pack up, and everybody knows where they need to be in the morning.
All right. So everyone packing up their things and bringing it over to the boat before they go retire for the evening. Hayden, do you stay the whole night at Holly's place? Or do you just kind of have that cup of coffee and then...
What's wrong with your eye? You
Hotel.
okay? You got something in there? You alright?
It's, contact.
I mean, I'm not expected. that day, and they won't take off without me because I'm the pilot.
No,
So
they won't. I'm just curious as to if you stay the whole night there, or if you return back to the hotel
think I
after a
would.
while, or go back to the boat. Okay.
I think I
Nice.
would, yeah.
Nice. She has some secret gin stash in like her underwear drawer that she pulls out for the occasion. You guys have
Like a cup
great
of
time.
coffee.
Yeah, you guys have strong cups of coffee. And have that nice, lovely evening. So the rest of you pack up your things. Sebastian, after emerging from the restroom, would remember
That was a long
that
one.
would recall that
Is that the
Mr. Moore-
sun?
Dinner was a little bit.
It's Italian food. It's real heavy. That you were going to do the psych evaluations on the ship since you had to bring your things there that night anyways, and all the crew is already aboard. The whole crew is sleeping aboard the ship tonight.
Brilliant.
You guys are just more of the expedition members rather than ship's crew. So you guys have one last night in the hotel. But as you guys are unpacking your things on the ship, I need everyone to give me listen checks as you guys are putting like your things away. Lois is already asleep. She fell asleep unpacking her stuff on the ship. She's very tired after her long day of helping with the Huskies.
Listen, check. Listen.
Yeah.
I got right on 45, and that's exactly what I have on my sheet.
Awesome! You succeed then with that listen check.
I definitely do not succeed.
Ooh. Excellent.
My record stands.
Who needs to hear things anyways? So Baxter, you're listening as you're you've unpacked your things, kind of got them situated. Also, who's bunking with who? Apparently Hayden has claimed the bottom bunk in room number 13. There is an extra bed in there, and then two of you will share room 14. Who's bunking up with who?
I guess I'll be bunking with Hayden.
Okay. Alrighty. So, you're alone in the room, unpacking your things, and you hear a from outside. Less of a splash, more of a whoosh. Kinda.
I check in for a draft.
So you
Not
kind of check
feeling
for a
anything.
draft. You don't feel anything. You open the door. You hear another, and you hear the faint shouts of fire, fire.
Oh,
And is Hayden in the room with me?
Hayden is at Holly Connor's house.
Oh, right.
Having a good old night.
Hayden is busy. Very busy.
Yeah, so
He's making a fire of his own.
All right.
honestly,
So, yeah, you hear the shout of
Baxter would
fire.
just be very curious and wants to properly identify before spreading word, because he wants to confirm before it goes any further, any accusations.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So yeah, you gotta go up above decks a little bit more.
Yes.
And you hear, even more yells of fire, fire, get up here, fire, and you hear the crackling. If you go all the way above deck, you see the source of the panic. People are running around the deck. It appears that the dock and the cargo shed that was there is so many flames. I hit my lamp with my hands, my large candles. Lots of fire, flames leaping everywhere. It appears that the large gasoline drums, the fuel drums that were going to be loaded onto the ship that were waiting to be loaded until the morning, have exploded, and fire is gasoline on fire is leaking and spreading through rapidly onto the deck. Like kind of like snaking up the gangplank a little bit to the ship, but it's all over the dock itself, the pier. You hear screams, people are running in all directions, and at this point, everyone else, you start to hear the cries of fire as well, but Baxter is first on the scene. You guys come up above deck. Those of you who come up above deck, you see the same scene, and you kind of see that there's still some people maybe trapped inside one of the warehouse sheds as well.
Oh God.
Starkweather's on board the deck, and he is yelling out orders. They are moving the tubs of gas, the big gallons of gasoline away, the big drums, rolling it to the other side of the ship to get it away from the source of this heat and explosions. What do you guys do?
Okay, so I've identified Starkweather.
Yeah.
Where's more?
More is
around.
you don't see more around. He may
Starkweather
still be at the
probably
hotel
goes where
doing
he
the
is.
paperwork.
Okay.
Starkweather's on board.
Does the ship have an emergency crew for emergencies?
So you would have studied the procedures a bit and the ship itself. So you know that on this ship there are actually built-in fire hoses to pump water from the water you're floating in and pump it through hoses to put out any deck fires that might happen. So there's several things that you guys could do. You could grab one of the fire hoses. They're really heavy. You think they're going to take more than one person to man each. Starkweather's on one. He's looking for someone else to help him. You could look around to see who maybe started the fire. There is also because this kind of fires don't happen on their own. This is far too large, far too quickly to have not been intentionally set. You also there's people trapped inside the warehouse. It's kind of half on fire. There's also, you notice that there is a large winch, the crane that loads the cargo onto the deck, that has a bunch of gasoline drums as well, but it's kind of over halfway between the deck of the ship and the burning pier dock. So you think if it gets too hot that those might explode as well, causing some damage to the ship itself. So what do you all do?
My first reaction would be to rush over to Mr. Starkweather and assist him.
All right, grab the hose. We're gonna put this fire out as fast as we can, man. All right, come on. Give me a strength check to see, because this hose is like, guys are pumping it, and so they're gonna see if you can hold onto the hose. There's a lot of water pressure.
Strength check rolling.
All right. With a 2, you are able, between you and Starkweather are able to get a hold on this and start kind of putting out some of the fire. You notice that he's kind of steering it, and you're just like planting it so it's not going anywhere. He can steer it more easily at the direction of the spray. He's focusing on the dock, the transit areas of the dock, so people can get out and get help. And he's also occasionally spraying the gasoline drums that are on the winch itself so that they don't get too hot.
Okay. Yeah, when I approach him, I'll ask him, "Sir, where's Mr. Moore?"
He's at the hotel still. He's filling out paperwork. We've got this. Come on.
Copy that. Put the fire out.
What do the other 3 of you do?
Well, they seem to have the hose handled. I think Lena's initially just sort of looking around, ascertaining that like Lois and everybody is reasonably safe, but then she's kind of looking to see if she can spot
Give
like,
me a spot hidden check.
someone suspicious.
Yeah, suspicious activity. Give me a spot hidden check.
Yeah, looking for something that's suspect. All right, spot hidden. Yep. Oh,
With a
Nope.
92, you're looking for somebody suspicious, but you're distracted by kind of like some crumpled figures that appear to be trying to crawl out of the smoking building that they're in. So you don't see anything suspicious. Anyone else can give any? What about Sebastian and Baxter? What are you two doing?
believe Sebastian will be, he'd have grabbed his medical case with all of his supplies inside, came straight out and seeing what's going on, will sort of situate himself at the side of the scene, and basically be waiting for if anybody's injured. He'll be basically on call immediately as soon as anyone
you
needs
look
help.
around and you definitely see some injured people just even running around and crawling out of the burning building and stuff. So there's plenty of injured. You just gotta pick who you want to tend to.
He'll pick the ones that look the worst first, and sort of go on that scale of the worst to the less bad as it goes.
Okay. You're kind of able to get like off the ship and onto the side of the dock that's not on fire, but there's just a lot of smoke coming out, and there's some of the guys that are kind of crawling out. You're able to kind of help pull them out, and give me a first aid check.
Yes. 1 second, sorry.
No problem.
First aid. All right. Gotta go and grab some actual dice, as I can't connect to fancy grounds.
Oh, no,
1 second.
You can get actual dice, no problem. Baxter,
I honestly would like to assist Sebastian as well.
assist him, kind of like you're kind of like picking up the people and walking them over to him so that he can tend to him. Okay, in that case, just to see how many people you can help, I would like you to make a Constitution check, just because there's a lot of smoke and stuff going on here, so you're kind of having to like try not to breathe too much of it in to help people out.
Gotcha.
$38. Is that a success?
No good.
No good. What is your Constitution?
I think
20.
no.
20. Oh no!
Oh,
Bless you.
Artist.
I think oof, fair. I think if since she didn't really see anything that caught her eye and people clearly need help, I think Lena would start assisting with first aid. She's not going to run in there and try to grab people. She's not strong enough.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got a 15 on the dice.
Nice. Yeah, so you're able to easily start first aiding. We're gonna say you're able to pull somebody out Baxter, and then you're like, you need him a second because you're just it's so much smoke you're coughing.
Come on, for you, Doc!
Thank you, Baxter.
All right. Roll me a first aid check as well, Lena, if you're trying to help some of these people.
Yeah,
and
she's
Baxter,
just trying to
if you'd
help
like
it happen faster.
to look around as well, you are more than able to, as you're kind of like, oh, they can come pull back in the burning. 23 is a success.
Yeah.
It's a hard success if you have a 50. Nice, because I know the base is 30. With a hard success, you're able to definitely help Sebastian, and you guys are out there. You're kind of getting them into clearer air. You're bandaging up some of the wounds. You're getting that. You get them taken care of. They seem very appreciative. You guys, or at least Hunter, as you're just you're standing there with the fires and you're paying attention to the fire, but you've got this. You're kind of able to notice that at this point, at the chain link fence, kind of where the dock is, you see the press is already here and starting to show up as flames are just billowing into the air and smoke. Fire is always going to draw attention, but this is quite the raging inferno.
Let's take a glance over at the Tallahassee.
Give me a spot hidden.
Here we go.
As that side of the pier is also on fire.
All right.
Baxter, you can give me a spot hidden as well, since you're just hacking up along.
Thanks.
Fail.
Nope.
Can't see through the smoke. Sir, I can't see the Lexington. I mean, I can't see the Tallahassee.
From your section on the ship, because you're on the deck and like the smoke is billowing upwards, it's kind of blocking your view. Baxter, being on the pier itself, has a little bit of a better view and not as obstructed by the smoke. You're able to see two things, Baxter. One, the Lexington's gangplank is on fire, and they kick it off and start leaving. As you see, a lot of other ships on the pier are also kind of pulling away because they don't want their ships caught on fire from being in proximity to this pier. And you also see a suspicious-looking figure kind of booking it away.
To any who can hear,
And you see he's carrying like a large container, and he's kind of like shaking it a little bit, then he drops it and runs.
Like to any who can hear, I relay, we got a runner!
All right. So, you've kind of, you've tended to those on the immediate deck. Are you just yelling, there's a runner?
Yeah, just like pointing, like get anyone, get anyone's attention I can get.
Yeah. See if you could roll me like a fast talk or persuade kind of thing to because it's pretty hectic right here. And see if anyone here is going to be distracted enough by your pleas to
Gotcha.
assist.
Okay, I need
Is
a
there,
20 or lower.
Is there a guard out in the guardhouse?
There is, but he appears to be trying to operate the pumps on near the actual like base of the pier to try to put out some of the fire. He's assisting with that. If you could get his attention, he would probably chase down the runner. Let's see. Did you get is it 57 your roll? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not able to persuade a passerby, but you do know that there is some type of guard capacity figure, but you'd have to go run up to them and have them point them in the direction of the runner, or you could chase after the runner yourself.
It is where it is basically, since I like, as I wait and I see like zero reaction, I go look for a guard.
Okay, yeah, you see one with the fire hose.
So, and I just like rush up, like, saw a suspicious individual, making me run for it. They left something. Possible suspect.
All right, here, take this, and he hands you the fire hose. Give me a strength check.
Oh God. Thankfully, I got more than my constitution. Jesus.
So he says, all right, and he pointed with that 6. You were able to see exactly where he was running to and point him out. And he goes, hold this, and he shoves the hose towards you. You're like, whoa, and then you kind of get flailed about by the hose. You're gonna take from sheer bludgeoning damage of losing control of this hose and it just kind of flailing and it hits you in the face. You're gonna take 1 point of bludgeoning damage as it hits you in the face.
This is gonna be great.
Your nose is like bleeding, and two dock workers kind of come up and they grab the hose and they're like, just go away.
You're very good.
See, by this point, Sebastian and Lena have managed to stabilize those who got pulled out of the fire. What would you two like to do now? You do see that there are extra fire hoses if you'd like to try to help with that. Baxter ran off to yell something at a guard and got hit with a fire hose. Everybody saw that.
Of course they did.
I'll go and deal with Baxter's nose.
Okay.
I'll go help with the
There's
fire
also the
hose and
crane
hope for the
with
best.
There's also the crane with the gasoline drums on it as well. If you would like to try to deal with that.
Yeah, is there a way to deal with that? Is there like a lever or something that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of levers.
What to get that? Okay.
You could definitely.
What does that entail that I may or may not be good at?
This would be operate heavy machinery. But I would give you,
Okay.
you're a smart scientist girl, and you've worked with some equipment similar to this before in some of your student digs. So if you make me a successful education roll, I will give you a plus 25% to your operate heavy machinery roll.
Okay, so do education first.
Yeah, roll in education first.
Okay. That I am good at. That succeeds, I think. Yes.
All right. So
Sorry, I'm
you will have
trying
a
to
plus
find it on my sheet.
25% to this operate heavy machinery roll.
Okay. So So let's do this again.
And with an 11,
I mean, that succeeds without it.
you are able to, you're like, oh, this is similar to the thing we used to dig out. Okay. You are able to operate the crane to pull the drums of gasoline that are kind of, you see them kind of starting to get hot. The metal around them is getting hot. And you're able to pull it away from the inferno on the docks and kind of set it down on the other side of the ship. You're able to get that contained. The fire is eventually put out. You guys yourself, once the dock workers they're able to get their pumps working, the New York City Fire Department comes in, you kind of push off yourself to get your boat away from the fire. But you were able, through your efforts with the fire hose and helping people on the docks, you were able to keep the damage to a minimum. And you kind of pull out into the harbor a little as well. But most of the ships are kind of just chilling out there, like, man, can't wait to redock back once the fire's put out. But you see that the Tallahassee is still going.
All right, Mr. Starkweather. We can't leave without more.
No, we can't. We're not leaving. We're going to They are. Yeah. And you see his eyes he's grinding his teeth. He's like, don't I know it? She was planning on leaving tomorrow afternoon, but I guess this kind of, you could say, lit a fire under her ass, and she's already booking it. We are going to leave on schedule tomorrow morning after we get some replacements for some of this fuel we were going to get loaded on. And,
What a funny coincidence that is.
we are going to just have to make extra haste out on the water. And you can tell he's thrilled. We're gonna kind of cut to the next morning. After a few hours, the dock fire was put out. You guys were able to get a good night's sleep at the hotel, or just sleep on the ship, as those are gonna be in your quarters for the next several months. Hayden, you wake up the next morning. Holly makes some delicious omelets for breakfast. And she's like, oh, I brought in the paper for you in case, you thought you might want to read it. And front headline on the paper is Docks ablaze, kills 3, Antarctic expedition threatened but not cancelled. Expedition...
Can I just say, like, I stand up saying this, and we just get the outward, like, crane shot of me in her, like, pink dressing gown with a cigar in my mouth.
Yes.
And it'll all sorts of stuff like arsonist caught, expedition members save dock workers' lives, true heroes, that kind of stuff. So you guys got a lot of good press from helping out some of the injured on the dock. The arsonist was caught. His name is Jerry Polk. Good old detective Hansen informs you, because this is potentially to do with sabotage that's been going on. Some man named Doyle paid him $100 to set fire to the warehouses of the Starkweather and Lexington expeditions. For each successful fire, he was going to get an extra $200 to be picked up the following morning underneath a bridge at Central Park. Needless to say, the police were there the next morning, undercover, and no one showed up with extra money for Mr. Doyle. But Mr. Polk is under arrest for arson and attempted murder, and only 3 casualties were had. And so you're reading this in the paper, Hayden, and you can see, like, there's pictures of, like, the docks all on fire. Man, I need to stop hitting my lamp. And, like, one of them shows, like, it says, like, Dr. Sebastian Wintercroft tending to the wounded, and it's, you think it's supposed to be a dock worker, but you recognize it. It's the back of Baxter's head as Sebastian's tending to his broken nose. He's like, Dr. Sebastian Wintercroft saves civilians' lives. And you see that there's Starkweather kind of pointing and, like, holding this fire hose, and you see Hunter kind of behind it, and you're like, She's like, so do you like, how many eggs do you like in your omelets? 2 or 3?
I say, I need my pants. And I'm like, actually, I'll have that omelet first.
All right. She makes a good omelet. She makes you a strong cup of coffee, and you're able to meet up with the rest of your group. As fresh gasoline is being tubs are going to be loaded onto the dock. It appears that like things are being loaded double time because some things were caught on fire in the warehouse on the way out.
Oh, word.
But it's like charred docks. Like you guys are actually at a different pier than you were before, because they don't want to risk the structural integrity. They got to go out and assess the damage and stuff. But yeah.
I woke up to like whoever, and I'm just like, "Oh, is everyone all right? I heard the news for the paper."
I imagine
Where were you
Baxter has
last
like
night?
he got like tissue stuffed in his nose. Yeah, you were having fun.
Oh, I was doing my part. I was on my date, carousing with the journalists. I'm
Well,
so sorry.
your smoke screen didn't exactly work very well.
But did you have a good time?
I did, yes. Thank you, Sebastian, for asking. I really appreciate that. I got I say your butler's name back at a reasonable hour this morning.
Good, but he doesn't like it if he doesn't get back for his next morning.
Hmm.
He kind of gives you a knowing smile.
But I do hope you're all alright now. I actually saw Lady Wintercraft, her name? Lady Wintercraft, at the
Oh, Lexington. Yeah.
Lexington.
My wife?
Lexi,
He's content.
I found your wife.
It just got a lot spookier. Holy crap.
But I thought,
But I was there at the funeral. I saw me lowered to the ground.
how much sanity damage is
Story
that?
just
I
took a
mean,
turn.
Well, yeah, Lexington, I say. And she was at the restaurant, actually, meeting some rather suspicious fellow.
Oh, was she?
Did you look like this guy, by the way? If
Who
they
looked
put
like what guy?
who I saw? No, okay. Well, I just say, rather suspicious fellow. Some business deal?
Isn't that convenient?
Yes.
Extremely convenient.
She seems quite assured of herself. Let's just say that when we put the more intellectual and deserving women on the snow, they'll be much more deserving. I'll be looking to get us there forthwith.
I'm sure
I must
Lena
say,
would not.
it seems like Miss Lexington had her own smokescreen. At least that's starting to be how it feels.
Yes, lots of dubious acts and back alley deals. How was your meetings?
Delightful. mostly.
They were great, actually. Got to meet one of my idols, and we had a wonderful time. And we learned a new word, and I got some cartoons to drop off the next day, and we're gonna be shifty chip chipoo.
What?
Did you have a concussion back there? You're all right, my
I had
friend.
a date with a hose. Did it go well?
Mild concussion.
Oh, right.
Who said
Yeah.
that?
Have some water. And I give him a bottle of water. Stay hydrated.
Hey,
But no, it's good to see that we're all back. Are we still on for the expedition? Was the equipment damaged?
I believe we're on for the expedition still. We should be setting out soon. This morning.
Yes.
You guys are leaving within the hour. Starkweather is currently giving a big speech to the press, and then, of course, pictures will be taken as you guys pull out into the Atlantic. And so,
Turning back.
you guys board the ship. Your possessions all in order. And Starkweather gives a big, cheesy wave as he busts a bottle of champagne, because it's tradition to, christen a new voyage with some things like that. And of course, it's prohibition, so it's just, display only, like, aha! And, but as soon as you guys get out to port, out to the ocean, real bottles of champagne are opened, and you guys celebrate successfully beginning this expedition. But while everyone is celebrating above decks, below decks, we see a dark figure around messing with some of the equipment that has been tacked down and stored. See him open up something from his pocket, unscrew it, and pour a vial of something onto some of the equipment, and then hastily make its way back above deck. And that is where we're going to end tonight's episode of Beyond the Mountains of Madness. So, thank you, everyone, for this fantastical game. There was arson. There was interrogation. There was lots of information to be found and more things to speculate on. But before we go, we are going to go around the cast and crew and say who we are, where you can find us, where we can find you on the internet, and what your favorite moment from today was. We're going to start with reverse order. So we're going to start with a Hollowtail. Where can we find you?
So I'm a Hollowtail. You can find me on YouTube at a Hollowtail, where I do RPG analysis and other videos of that sort, and tricks and tips. And you can also find me on Twitter at a Hollowtail. My favorite moment, as much as I've enjoyed a lot of what we were all doing today, has to be the entirety of Hayden's date. Just absolutely brilliant. I was laughing so much. It was so fun, especially with the lack of charm, even though he's so charming.
Loved it. Loved it. Speaking of Mr. Charming, Bro Restarter, where can we find you?
Yeah, super great game. I loved it. I love this group, and I'm so happy to be here. I am Pro Restarter. You can catch me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all under the same name. I do 15 games each week, starting now. So it's going to be super fun. Catch my list on my Twitter. It's pinned tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST. We're starting a Deadlands campaign, some Savage Worlds. So into some Savage Worlds, check that out. And my favorite moment was has to be Mr. Sleaze. Mr. Sleaze is the easiest choice for me. That needs to come
Love
back.
it. Yes. Well, if you guys make it back from Antarctica, I'm sure he's gonna be waiting for Lena. Little Cup of Joe. Where can we find you now?
Yeah. Well, you can find me at Little Cup of Joe on Twitch and Twitter. My schedule of all the random TTRPG things I am in is on the Twitter, so look for that. Favorite moment is really hard to pick, but it's definitely a toss-up between the entire Mr. Sleaze situation and the date. They were both delightful.
Lovely, lovely. I'm sure he'd be delighted to see you again.
Oh yeah,
Hopefully, if you
real
make it.
charmer, that one.
Oh yeah, he's gonna turn his whole life around. Just as soon as he
Just
gets
needs a little encouragement, that's all.
It's true. It's true. Jimmersion, where can we find you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmersion, Jim Marino. Yeah, you can find me Jimmersion all across the internets there. I'm usually on my, or mostly on my Twitch, or publishing geek content through my Patreon, or writing for Geek and Sundry, modding Geek and Sundry chat channels, watching these guys. I just spent a little bit of time watching Pro Restarter today in the Dungeon World campaign. Dungeon World's a great game. I really love that one, so good system. Let's see, probably the whole shit hit the fan there as we're leaving. Favorite moment. I finally got one successful roll in a moment when it counted. Yeah, I'm going to hang on to that one because it may be the only one I get during the whole game.
Well, you are the survivalist, and so it makes sense that in... Oh gosh, there's a fire in the docks. It made sense for you to be able to... Like, I got this. So I liked it. I liked how everyone's roles suited their character tonight.
Yeah.
Crumpler, where can we find you?
Hello, I am Crump64. You can find me on Twitter at Crump64 and also at Twitch at the same name, Crump64. In terms of, favorite moment, it has to be like it's just the whole scene of just the fire going on with the boat. It was just where it's like kind of how I built Baxter, just be as not the person that doesn't belong, but just be just pure out of the experience kind of a character where it's just like wrong, like not wrong place, wrong time, where it's just like, well, I'm here, I got to do something. Even though I had to admit my Constitution score, which I was hoping to keep secret. And also, one of the reasons I'm grateful to choose an artist because I can make a quack pot, and it's just part of the character.
Love it. Love it so much. Like, I always like seeing what little thing got doodled during the session. As for me, I'm Laugh Love Lindy, and you can find me online at Laugh Love Lindy on all the Twitches, the Twitters, and all the social medias. I play in a lot of tabletop RPGs. I also DM quite a few. I generally post on my Twitter, or retweet when I'm going live where. If you like more spooky stuff, you should check out Miss Ravenloft tonight, my channel. It's going to be an hour from now. It's only a 2-hour show, but we're kind of dealing with some Isle of Dr. Moreau kind of type stuff. The module Neither Man Nor Beast from 2nd edition. It's pretty fun. They have no idea what's going on, and they're suspicious of everybody. It's great. It's only been like episode 8. They're already like paranoid. I love it. It's perfect. So we'll see how paranoid this whole crew gets by session 8. That's just gonna compare the two. It's gonna be great. But thank you guys so much for watching. I believe we're gonna have World Tree Burns next here in a few minutes. So join us next week for more Beyond the Mountains of Madness as they sail towards the Panama Canal, and hopefully nothing else will go wrong on this voyage, as of course they left all the sabotage behind them, obviously. See you next week!